Chapter 341, Both Transform. The Tribulation of Dragon Transformation. This is a challenge all Zhao dragons long for. The South Zhao dragon tribe has been tirelessly gathering resources just to raise a Zhao dragon to a level where it can pass the tribulation of dragon transformation. Unfortunately, for nearly 500 years, not one single Zhao dragon from the South Zhao dragon tribe has been able to get close to this dragon transformation. If they manage to cross over, they become a true dragon that soars above the skies. If they fail, they're reduced to a pile of ashes. The tribulation of dragon transformation only descends on a very small area, but its effects reach vast and boundless territories. Especially for those magical beasts and contract beasts, they feel a natural bloodline suppression, as if some ancient monstrous beast is slowly awakening, declaring its existence to the world. Even the 2 6-star contract beasts and the 2 6-star magical beasts are affected. They've trained up to the body integration realm without any rational thought, which is enough proof of the strength of their bloodlines. But even their ancestors, upon seeing a true dragon, could only bow their heads and pledge allegiance. Boom! The heavenly tribulation roared, landing like a blow to everyone's hearts. Everyone trembled, feeling panic. People have seen relatively more 5-star upgrades to 6-star, but nothing as terrifying as this unknown heavenly tribulation. A soldier swallowed hard. Even facing a menacing tidal wave of beasts threatening to overrun the nation hadn't made him this jittery. He saw in those distant dark clouds a serpentine beast appearing and disappearing in the storm. The flash of lightning illuminated it, and while he couldn't be certain, he had the sense it was a colossal serpent with legs, not a snake. What is that, a snake with legs? Old Feng recalled Zhang Li's words at his bedside a year ago, and his heart filled with a rush of emotion words could not express. That's a dragon. It's a dragon. If anyone had previously told him that a contract beast could go from 0 stars to 6 stars in 1 year, he would have scoffed, considering it the lowest form of deceit. Believing such a tale could only be for fools. But now, the tribulation of dragon transformation was happening right before his eyes. Shortly after, Old Feng thought of another question. If a 6-star contract beast was already the most potent force in the Lingxi world, what kind of terrifying existence must Zhang Li be, who had managed to raise a small dragon to a true dragon in just 1 year? What 9 continents world? That might simply have been modesty on Zhang Li's part. Maybe the name of the legendary immortal realm is indeed the 9 continents world. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. A dragon. Nobody had ever heard of this creature, it felt very foreign. The command center finally got a clear view of this mysterious creature using high-powered binoculars. Immense, terrifying, dignified, transcendent, unknown, those were the first impressions of the creature from the command center. Its body was 500 meters long, as though it was a world-devouring giant snake. The beast was vibrant green, radiating vigorous life. Fierce claws, majestic horns, eyes reflecting aloofness and ruthlessness. All those heavenly tribulations descended on this mysterious creature, but it's not harmed. Instead, it shone even more brilliantly. When the mysterious creature noticed the action of the command center, it coldly shot a glance their way. At that gaze, all the devices that could observe it shattered. The scout was frozen with fear. He felt like he was being watched by an indescribable presence. The tribulation of dragon transformation ended, dark clouds dissipated, silence filled the heavens and the earth, and all living things fell silent. The green dragon transformed. Little Green passed the tribulation of dragon transformation. Bloodline evolution was done, formally stepping into the body integration realm and becoming a true dragon. The enormous green dragon disappeared, replaced by a classic beauty with waterfall-like flowing green hair. She had a green dragon horn, rosy and full lips, a captivating gaze featured by cold dragon eyes. She had the power to trigger a man's desire to conquer. A celadon shirt was barely able to restrain the fullness of her bosom, while her delicate waist led to a pair of slender legs, mostly bare. Little Green glanced at her chest area. It was her first time transforming, so she wasn't exactly used to it yet. She made the shirt 1 size larger, which caused less pressure to her chest. "Are you Little Green?" Sha Chao stared agape. Despite reaching the divinity transformation stage, he couldn't control the pounding of his heart. He hadn't expected that Little Green could transform, let alone that transformed Little Green looked so stunningly beautiful. What a silly question. Upon seeing Sha Chao, Little Green's eyes softened for just a moment, then turned ice cold again, with her tone as indifferent as always. Confirmed, this dismissive and disdainful tone was without a doubt Little Green's. Sha Chao felt relieved. "Let's go, come with me to end the chaos of war." Little Green waved her hand and flew towards the battlefield. She wasn't satisfied with Sha Chao's flying speed, so she grabbed his hand and they flew together. Roar! The golden bear roared at Green, instinct telling it that this woman, who was neither human nor beast, was a tremendous threat. The giant boar, the white deer, and the water buffalo also released their auras. They shared the same feeling as the bear: this woman was dangerous. The beast tamers of the bear and the water buffalo had received advance instructions and were aware that this stunningly beautiful woman was on the side of the humans, so they demanded that the bear and the water buffalo kneel before Little Green. Unfortunately, they were less beast tamers and more keepers only responsible for feeding the beasts. In the master-servant contract, the bear and buffalo were the actual masters. A master would never listen to a servant's orders. They chose to wage war against Little Green. I guess it's going to be 1 against 4 after all. Little Green shook her head helplessly. She had just entered the body integration realm and couldn't defeat the 4 beasts which were at middle to late stages of body integration. She needed Sha Chao to help her. Hey, why is it 1 against 4? I'm going to fight too. Sha Chao was not happy about Little Green overlooking him. With a lot of effort, he had finally ascended to the divinity transformation stage. Even in the glorious cultivation age of the 9 continents, that would make him a genius. But in Little Green's eyes, he seemed to not even count as a person. All his cultivation till now was just so he could help Little Green at this moment. Little Green was speechless at Sha Chao's stupidity. It was so obvious, did she have to spell it out? Battles between beings at the body integration realm were dangerous. She'd rather he not participate if at all possible. She brought him along in case she needed support when she couldn't hold out any longer. Considering the current situation, the only way for them to win was for Sha Chao to assist her from the start. Chu Shi turned to look at the white-haired girl next to him with some resignation. Did Little Green and Sha Chao forget about us? The white-haired girl was gorgeous and energetic, with a ponytail and a wagging tail showing her cat-like eyes, which brought out a unique charm. The white-haired girl stretched lazily in midair, showing off a figure that was no less eye-catching than Little Green's. After all, I'm only at the late stage of divinity transformation, and you're at the late stage of nascent soul. Neither of us could beat a beast at the body integration realm. Having just transformed, the winged white tiger, Chu Shi didn't know where to look, so he had to turn away and not look at her. How come you can transform at the late stage of divinity transformation when it took Little Green reaching the body integration realm to transform? Like a little kitten, the white-haired girl appeared unexpectedly in front of Chu Shi with an agile gesture. Showing her small, cute tiger teeth, she rubbed her tail against Chu Shi's nose and said, smiling. Actually, we could have transformed a long time ago, but Sister White Snow Spirit said if we did it too early, it would hinder your cultivation. That's why we waited until now. Although Chu Shi did not want to admit it, he knew White Snow Spirit was right. He figured if the white-haired girl had transformed earlier, he might have lost the heart to cultivate. Chapter 342, The Dragon's Roar recorded in history. The dragon roared again, filled with fighting spirit. Zhao King transformed back to its original form, carrying Sha Chao on its back. The destructive power of body integration realm battles could annihilate everything. If they remained on the ground, it would inevitably lead to a catastrophic loss of lives. If that happened, the cause of nations' destruction would not be beast tides, but the 6 of them. Off to the cosmos, Zhao King roared at the 4 beasts, but unfortunately, their minds were in a state of chaos and they could only follow their instincts. They couldn't possibly understand what Zhao King was saying. Zhao King, left with no other options, used its divine dragon's tail swipe, hitting them in their faces, infuriating them, and making them follow itself into the cosmos. Sha Chao felt a sense of sentimentality. A year ago, he was just a novice who could only be taken to the cosmos by Zhong Li. However, in just a year's time, he had grown into a god transformation stage cultivator who could briefly stay in the cosmos on his own. But in front of Big Brother Zhong, I might still be a newbie, a divinity transformation newbie. Sha Chao chuckled softly before quickly refocusing on assisting Zhao King in the fight. The healing power of the wood spiritual root combined with the perennial power technique was extraordinarily formidable. With Zhao King's robust physical form, its claws gripped Shangpai's skull, pressing it against a planet's surface, rubbing it incessantly. Shangpai, held painfully tight, tried to break free from the dragon claws. Zhao King reacted first, using all its strength to press Shangpai deep into the planet, piercing through the crust, mantle, and outer core, eventually squeezing Shangpai into the inner core. The other 3 beasts wanted to assist Shangpai, but Zhao King was too fast, leaving them no time to react. The inner core's temperature soared up to 5,000 degrees Celsius, and the pressure climbed to billions of kilopascals. Despite this, both Zhao King and Shangpai remained unaffected. Zhao King used Shang Pai's head to strike the planet core, shattering it and subsequently causing a massive explosion, leading the entire planet to split apart. Humans could not observe the battle scene as satellites were also broken during the fight. Zhao King, being several hundred meters long and located in deep space, was beyond the reach of the naked eye. All humans saw was their familiar planet being blown up. As for who did it, it was unknown. Debris from the shattered planet scattered in all directions, with a small portion turning into meteors hurtling towards the Lingxi continent. The beasts, devoid of any rationale, were oblivious to the impending danger, while humans recognized the potential disaster and felt helpless to avoid it. The flying beasts were the first ones to be impacted, followed by the ones on the ground alongside the humans. Professor Feng summoned the radiant parrot, asking if it could block the meteors. Having consumed the blood of Bai Zi, the parrot was rational. It shook its head sorrowfully. Meteors, being the most terrifying natural disaster, were simply too much for a little 4-star contract beast at the nascent soul stage to handle. Just when Professor Feng was feeling hopeless, a massive white tiger with bone wings soared by quickly, intercepting the meteors. Professor Feng, are you okay? Chu Shi, who was riding the white tiger, showed concern for Professor Feng. He didn't expect the spirited Professor Feng to participate in the military. I'm fine. You all need to be careful too. Don't worry. Though we may not be as powerful as Zhao King and Sha Chao, as long as there are no other creatures at the body integration realm, we are invincible in the Lingxi world. We need to intercept other meteors now. We'll be leaving first. Chu Shi left these words behind and hurriedly departed with the white tiger. Seeing this, the soldiers surrounding Professor Feng moved in closer. Professor Feng, what's happening here? Do you know them? Who are they, really? What's the story with the beast you called a dragon? Can it really win against 4? Even during his final examinations, Professor Feng had never been bombarded with so many questions. He chuckled, gestured for quiet, and the crowd instantly hushed. They can win. I believe in my students. To be honest, I never would have thought they could get this far. Back when they were still at school. With the planet's destruction, the surrounding space was completely disrupted. All that could be seen were fragments of the destroyed planet and the 5 beasts of the body integration realm locked in intense combat. Zhao King stood against 4 opponents, only slightly at a disadvantage. Moreover, the 4 demon beasts were heavily injured and would take some time to recover. Only little Qing, while injured, was recovering faster than she was being hurt, making her appear as if nothing had happened. With little Qing reaching the body integration realm, the divine skills of the ancient dragon tribe awakened in her, and she gradually understood how to use these great divine powers during battle. River overturning sea technique. There's naturally no water in the universe, therefore this divine skill shouldn't have power, but the 4 demon beasts felt threatened from all directions. However, they could not locate the source of the threat. The white deer was the first to feel wrong, its body's water being rapidly drained off, water flowed out from all its orifices, and it quickly shriveled up into a dried corpse. The other 3 demon beasts also followed suit, quickly shriveling up. This degree would not be fatal, but it significantly affected their battle power. Little Qing seized the opportunity to counterattack. The wild boar's instinct told it that Little Qing's weak spot was on her back, where the human was positioned. It stealthily attacked Sha Chao while Little Qing battled the water buffalo and the white deer. Unexpectedly, Sha Chao did not dodge or evade, instead jumping up directly and using his fists to slam into the boar's tusks. The wild boar was taken by surprise and staggered back a few steps. Sha Chao, on the other hand, was blasted backwards due to the reaction force and coughed up blood. Sha Chao was at a disadvantage, but was still brave in defeat. It was nothing short of miraculous that he, at the early stage of divinity transformation, could wrestle with a demon beast at the mid-stage of the body integration realm. Are you okay? Little Qing asked with concern, through her divine senses. Thanks to the dragon tiger Arhat power, Sha Chao replied, already back on Little Qing's back, his wounds gone. Sha Chao's dragon tiger Arhat power was not yet fully mastered, but it was sufficient for him to protect himself during a fight with a creature at the body integration realm. In synergy with Sha Chao, Little Qing's combat power was extraordinary. Upon entering the body integration realm, she was able to blow away all 4 of the same stage demon beasts. The prodigious battle was slowly coming to an end. Her dragon claw grasped the 4 defeated demons, returning to the mainland. People could hardly believe that the once invincible, unrivaled, and uncontrollable 4 demon beasts were now reduced to such a pitiful state, their bodies withered, at the brink of death, ready to expire any moment. Old Feng, pinch me, is this real? Someone could not believe the scene before him. Old Feng, being a straightforward man, obliged and punched him hard. It's real, it's really real. The guy was elated after being punched, overjoyed at the fact that a beast-packed creature single-handedly managed to subdue all the 6-star demon beasts and packed beasts. He knew that this dragon, a beast-packed creature, was on humanity's side. This signaled peace. Little Qing soared into the sky, letting out a dragon roar that would be remembered in history. The awe-inspiring roar shattered the clouds, heralding her triumph over her opponents, claiming the Lingxi continent as her own territory. All the demon beasts and packed beasts felt as if a massive figure was above their heads, compelling them to submit under Little Qing's feet. This was pressure stemming from their bloodline, they couldn't resist it. The animals, trapped in their lineage's spell of stupidity, managed to recover their rationality. The 5- and 6-star demon beasts and beast-packed creatures became normal divinity transformation stage and body integration realm creatures again. As the 4 demon beasts like Shangpai awakened, they saw a dragon bathing in sunlight. They submitted gratefully, speaking the human tongue. We've met Dragon King Qing, we thank Dragon King Qing for sparing our lives, we thank Dragon King Qing for the enlightenment, we can offer nothing in return, only our loyalty. Little Qing became the ruler of the Lingxi continent, and White Snow Spirit could begin to use the base's blood to restore rationality to all the demon beasts and packed beasts. Can we start now? White Snow Spirit discovered that the taste of roasted pears was indeed good, she had grown to love the taste. Zhongli shook her head, examining through her divine sense an area in the distance that White Snow Spirit didn't notice, and slowly stood up. There is still one more thing. A Zhu Yan, stepping out from the secret realm, released an intimidating pressure of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Chapter 343, Suppressing with Just One Hand. Zhu Yan always had the same dream, recalling the events from 2,000 years ago. Who are you? Zhu Yan watched the newcomer warily. Being a 6-star contracted beast, an invincible creature, he couldn't comprehend how anyone could have secretly slipped into his room. You can call me Du Yi, the envoy. The newcomer replied with a gentle smile. 2 days ago, following the orders of your master, you killed a number of individuals in front of everyone. So what if I did? Those individuals had resorted to despicable tactics and violated the rules of the competition in an attempt to kill me. Their actions irked my master and he ordered me to kill them. There is nothing wrong with that. The Declaration of Peace clearly states that contracted beasts have the right to self-defense. Those killings were acts of legitimate self-defense. Du Yi, the envoy, looked at Zhu Yan as if he were a senseless monkey. Legitimate self-defense. I didn't expect the beasts of this realm to be this ignorant. Being a beast myself, I'm ashamed for you. You, Zhu Yan was enraged by Du Yi's words. Unhurriedly, Du Yi continued, do you really believe the lives of humans and beasts are equivalent? You killed quite a few humans, all of whom were at the body integration realm. The human race will not consider your reasons for killing. They will only see that you have killed human beings and will view you as an extremely dangerous contracted beast that needs to be eliminated. Zhu Yan knitted his eyebrows. Contracted beasts and humans are friends. Humans wouldn't treat us like this. Besides, I only acted upon my master's orders. Although his master wasn't exactly friendly, being treated the same way as other contracted beasts around him, Zhu Yan didn't think there was anything improper about his own treatment. Du Yi sneered, Master. He didn't care about who gave the orders, he only claimed you were out of control at the time, thereby distancing himself from the incident. Think about it. If humans truly cared for you, why would they sign a master-servant contract and not a contract of equals? Why would they build air raid shelters, to guard against whom? Why would they create markets for selling contracted beasts? Would you sell your friends like they were merchandise? Seeing that Zhu Yan remained unconvinced, Du Yi lost interest in arguing with this stupid monkey. He simply told Zhu Yan how to terminate the master-servant contract and then took his leave. Everything Zhu Yan endured over the next few days was within Du Yi's expectations. No one mentioned the issue of self-defense, as if it were a matter beyond discussion. The master put all the blame on Zhu Yan, and to appease him, said that these measures were just temporary. Holding on to a sliver of hope, Zhu Yan reluctantly chose to believe him. However, in the end, his master betrayed Zhu Yan's trust and sent him to the execution ground himself. Only then did Zhu Yan realize the truth. All talk of friendship and equal treatment were lies. The human race never saw contracted beasts as their equals. Zhu Yan, having given up all hope, terminated the master-servant contract and went on a rampage. 8 contracted beasts gathered to attack Zhu Yan, intending to wipe out this unstable element. Zhu Yan also terminated these 8 contracted beasts' contracts, told them about his experience, and claimed that the humans were merely using them. But they disregarded him, believing in the everlasting friendship between them and their masters and that they would never betray each other. Foolish creatures. Right before he was about to die, Zhu Yan comprehended the will of Transcendence Tribulation stage, and turned the tables, slaughtering both the contracted beasts and humans. Zhu Yan became an invincible entity, dominating the entire continent. He sought his hiding master, determined to kill him. The incident involving Zhu Yan made humans aware that the master-servant contract could be dissolved. Therefore, they dared not trust contracted beasts anymore, and threw them out one after another, hiding themselves inside the air raid shelters. Zhu Yan watched as the abandoned contracted beasts still refused to give up their search for their masters and found them ridiculously foolish. You're being discarded like trash by humans, yet you're still tailing behind them, licking their boots. After bulldozing through a dozen air raid shelters, Zhu Yan finally located his hiding master in the 93rd air raid shelter. As expected, his master was killed by him. Despite his master's death, Zhu Yan's urge to kill did not diminish, however, he didn't want to directly kill. Humans are hypocritical, beasts are foolish. At this moment, once again, Du Yi appeared by Zhu Yan's side. Even after breaking through to the Transcendence Tribulation stage, Zhu Yan still couldn't gauge this man's level of cultivation. But Zhu Yan didn't care about these things. Humans treated me like a slave, but now I've become the strongest being of this era. I must retaliate, and make humans slaves to the beasts. How should one deal with those foolish beasts then? What are your thoughts? Zhu Yan turned to Du Yi to ask. My blood, once diluted, can cause the beasts to become intellectually impaired right from birth. Very good. Du Yi squeezed out a few drops of blood, the terrifying power they contained even gave Zhu Yan the chills. Du Yi highly admired Zhu Yan and considered him a promising talent. With a little nurturing, he thought Zhu Yan would become a valuable asset to him. Once the master-servant contract is signed, humans will slowly die from mental chaos. I will appoint a person in charge. You don't need to stay in this realm. Zhu Yan, with madness in his eyes, refused Du Yi's offer of goodwill. No, I want to witness the downfall of humans and beasts with my own eyes. Lately, Zhu Yan kept having this dream. He felt restless and had a feeling that something was going to happen. Has my plan been disrupted? Zhu Yan muttered to himself. After all, beasts hardly have any talent, and it's impossible for them to break through to the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Hence, he had never considered his own safety. It has been so long, I should go take a look at the outside world. I hope those hypocritical humans have all died. Zhu Yan made rounds every 100 years. It has been over 50 years since his last outing, but he had a feeling that something was about to happen, so he left the secret realm early this time. Zhu Yan, who thought of himself as an invincible entity, didn't attempt to conceal the fluctuations of the Transcendence Tribulation stage and stepped out of the realm. The disturbance caused by Zhu Yan's emergence was much greater than that induced by Shao Qing's transformation into a dragon. The entire Lingxi world was aware of it. Upon sensing this, Shao Qing and Sha Chao instantly realized that this was the Transcendence Tribulation stage Zhu Yan noted in the diary. Even with Shao Qing's robust body and Sha Chao's healing abilities, facing a Transcendence Tribulation stage entity would be futile. In the blink of an eye, they could be wiped out by a Transcendence Tribulation stage entity, leaving no chance for recovery. Humans and beasts felt their hair stand on end, as if a ferocious beast had descended on the world, brimming with a desire to kill. However, this feeling was fleeting, disappearing as quickly as it came, almost as if it were an illusion. Because before Zhu Yan could take his second step, Zhongli, human emperor, stopped him in his tracks. Zhu Yan watched in horror as a giant handprint descended from the heavens. It carried an irresistible force that pinned him to the ground, leaving him without even the ability to turn over. So, this is Zhu Yan. White Snow Spirit marveled. This was a Transcendence Tribulation stage beast, something rarely seen in JoJo. Its hair was red, its feet were white, and it grinned menacingly. However, it was not as ugly as depicted on the mural, suggesting that the mural's artist had deliberately maligned Zhu Yan. Who are you people? Are you immortals? Zhu Yan roared in attempts to resist, only to discover that like an ordinary monkey, he could not utilize any of his cultivation and his supreme physical form felt inferior and mortal. JoJo World, Human Emperor, Zhongli. Chapter 344, Blood of Du Yi's Envoy. Just as Zhu Yan could engage Du Yi's realm, he also could engage Zhongli's realm. Zhongli's cultivation felt like an unreachable mountain peak, with no end in sight, as well as a bottomless ocean, infinite and vast. Although powerful, Zhu Yan was nothing more than a stubborn stone in the mountains and a fish in the sea, completely incomparable with Zhongli. He didn't believe any talk about coming from the JoJo world. An immortal, Zhu Yan sneered. How did it matter if someone achieved immortality? Weren't they still human? Over 2,000 years ago, he had already seen through life and death, and had only one goal, to take revenge on humans. Today, the humans in the Lingxi world are enslaved by beasts. Beasts are deficient in intelligence. Is it your doing, or Du Yi's? Of course it was all my work. Du Yi only helped me see the truth, bit his finger, and gave me a few drops of blood. Seeing this, White Snow Spirit couldn't help but ask, do you even spare your own kind? My kind? Do you mean the demon beasts brainwashed by humans, the ones who grovel before humans? How could they and I be the same kind? Zhu Yan looked at White Snow Spirit disdainfully. You're also a demon beast, yet you still follow this human around, groveling before humans. I've seen clearly that humans will never treat demon beasts kindly or fairly. You must be using your own cultivation to oppress demon beasts. Zhongli suddenly asked, after you reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage, did you try to make humans and demon beasts live in equality? You haven't even tried, but you act as if you've seen through the malice in the human world. You have all this strength but only think of revenge, blaming everything and everyone. What a waste of your cultivation. Do you know, in the JoJo world there are 9 great imperial dynasties, all equal in status. One of them, the White Marsh Emperor, is made up entirely of demon beasts. Do you know that the back of the JoJo continent is an ocean, a territory entirely ruled by the Dragon Clan, barely entered by humans? Do you know that there's a beast tamer sect in the JoJo world? The contract they sign with demon beasts is one of equality. Do you know, just now, a body integration realm Azure Dragon and a god transformation stage cultivator teamed up and defeated 4 body integration realm demon beasts to become the lords of Lingxi continent. So, how exactly did you prove that humans and demon beasts can't coexist in equality? What do you know? What do you know? I was betrayed by humans, attacked by my own kind. Do you know any of that? Zhong Li's words felt like a knife, stabbing into Zhu Yan's chest, over and over again. Zhong Li was right. While Zhu Yan felt that humans and demon beasts are unchangeable, he never thought of trying to achieve true equality between the two. No, suddenly Zhu Yan remembered that he had contemplated this issue, and had even tried to establish equality between humans and beasts. But he couldn't try. Trying would mean admitting that his previous actions, which led to the destruction of an entire civilization, were wrong. But he was a Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivator, the strongest. How could he be wrong? The more Zhu Yan thought about it, the more scared he became. It felt as if Zhong Li's seemingly trivial question invalidated all his 2,000 years of waiting. Air Raid Shelter Number 93, Diary, Xiaodong, Yan Yan. I know everything about your past experiences. Zhong Li's expression was cold. You're pitiful indeed. But so what? Aren't those people who died directly or indirectly because of you also pitiful? Do you know how many people contract the assimilation disease each year, and how many die from it? Do these people deserve to die? Do they deserve to be your tools for venting? I can't be wrong. Zhu Yan roared loudly, as if to convince himself. But his trembling voice had already proven the turmoil in his heart. I can't be wrong, I can't be. Zhu Yan repeated these words, but he wasn't able to convince himself. It's you, you're trying to shake my Dao heart. Zhu Yan shifted his attention to Zhong Li, thinking that this human was sinister. Luckily, I still have 3 drops of blood given by Du Yi. The stronger I am, the more firm my Dao heart will be. I need to become stronger. Zhu Yan cackled. Though Zhong Li had restrained him, his mouth could still move. And the 3 drops of blood from Du Yi were in Zhu Yan's mouth. 1 drop, 2 drops. Du Yi's blood contained an extremely terrifying energy. Zhu Yan only consumed 2 drops and was raised from the late Transcendence Tribulation stage to the stage capable of attracting Ascension Tribulation. Zhong Li shook his head lightly, drawing White Snow Spirit away from the Ascension Tribulation's range. Aren't you going to deal with him? He's gone mad. Or you could say that ever since he killed his master, he had completely turned into a madman. With his current state of mind, he won't be able to pass the Ascension Tribulation. Just as Zhong Li had predicted, the Ascension Tribulation descended, and the first thing that came was not the Heavenly Tribulation, but the Heart Demon Tribulation, an insidious adversity. Zhu Yan was trapped within the Heart Demon Tribulation, unable to escape. His expression was ferocious. He screamed as he started to mutilate himself. He ripped open his chest, took out his beating heart, as if trying to prove something. His heart grew back, his chest healed itself. He tore it open again, took out the heart, and repeated this over and over again, until a small mountain of hearts piled up at his feet. In the end, he died in the heart demon tribulation, his spirit dissipated, without any hope of reincarnation. This was the shortest ascension tribulation that Zhongli had ever witnessed, also the first time he had seen a creature die under ascension tribulation. Is this the blood of Du Yi? Du Yi's blood remained after the ascension tribulation. Zhongli used his spiritual power to encapsulate it for closer examination. Why does it seem similar to your blood? Zhongli turned his head in surprise and looked at White Snow Spirit. What? White Snow Spirit was even more surprised than Zhongli. Why did the blood of the extraterrestrial heavenly demon suddenly have anything to do with her? Zhongli handed the drop of blood to her. After examining it, White Snow Spirit exclaimed in surprise, "This is Bei's blood. Moreover, it has been modified by acquired evolution." What do you mean? I mentioned before, not all Bei's blood can awaken spiritual wisdom. The first generation Bei's emperor researched a method to awaken intelligence in demon beasts and integrated this method into the bloodline. The later generations only need to use their own blood to awaken intelligence. This is what acquired evolution means. This drop of blood is the same, but the effect is completely opposite. A demon beast who takes this drop of blood will have chaotic thinking and will struggle to develop intelligence, remaining trapped in the path of beasts. If this indeed is Du Yi's blood. Zhongli finished White Snow Spirit's sentence, then is he also a Bei's? Yes. Every time an extraterrestrial heavenly demon came to Jojo to court death, Zhongli would ask someone to investigate their species. The results were disappointing. The blood of the extraterrestrial heavenly demons was incredibly chaotic. Not only did they not match any known species, even the blood among the heavenly demons themselves differed. Their forms were different, and even their blood had nothing in common. Is Du Yi a member of the demon clan, or are all extraterrestrial heavenly demons from the demon clan? Zhongli felt that the matter was not so simple. I'll ask Eternal Immortal Elder when we get back. Zhongli wanted to see how the Eternal Immortal Elder would explain this problem. Task completed. Do you wish to claim the reward? Zhongli had nurtured Shaoqing and Sha Chao, resisted the beast tide, and naturally completed the human race in the Lingxi world resist a country annihilating level beast tide and even far exceeded it. After all, with Shaoqing as the ruler of Lingxi world, there was no need to worry about the country annihilating level beast tide anymore. Claim. A piece of Ascension ladder fragment fell into Zhongli's hand. Chapter 345. End of Lingxi world. Congratulations, the whole Lingxi world is now your territory. Zhongli offered his belated blessings. You too, you've fulfilled your dream of saving the world, even if just as an accessory. Sha Chao's face fell immediately. Brother Zhong, couldn't you just leave out the second half of your sentence? I've been working hard to heal Shaoqing. How did I become an accessory? Shaoqing and the bone-wing white tiger both turned into human forms, captivating in their beauty. Sha Chao and Chu Shi were left stunned. They hadn't expected their two packed monsters, whom they'd spent a year with, to transform into such bewitching figures. Wake up, what do you mean you've been together for a year? You two spent the first 3 months in intense training. No one saw you during those 3 months except me, Zhongli reminded Sha Chao, keen on keeping him from romanticizing the past. Sha Chao and Chu Shi shivered. They couldn't forget the 3 months they spent living in the demonic beast forest, their nightmares wholly filled with Zhongli's rigorous training. However, the results made the hard training worth it. The place where the group was standing was the very center of the battlefield. Surrounded by emptiness, the beast wave had finally retreated. Your Majesty, please give us your next directive. The 4-body integration realm monsters kneeled before Shaoqing, their rationality restored as they returned to their human forms. Do not address me as such. Shaoqing calmly refused on the surface, but she was secretly irritated by the title of Azure Dragon King. The supreme leaders of the 6 countries rushed to the scene upon hearing the news, realizing the dramatic changes occurring in the Lingxi world. The bodyguards standing behind the leaders felt anxious. Though they appeared capable, they seemed to be the weakest except for the supreme leaders when it came to actual combat. The supreme leaders respectfully acknowledged Shaoqing. Reports from their subordinates revealed that this young girl was transformed from a packed monster known as the dragon. They also received information that all the 5-star packed monsters had taken human forms, so they were not surprised to see Shaoqing's human form. Shaoqing, the white-haired girl, Sha Chao, Chu Shi, the 4 human form 6-star monsters, everyone could be accounted for, except for the man seemingly orchestrating everything. They did not recognize him. Now that everyone is here, we can start discussing the matter at hand, Zhongli initiated, transporting everyone present to a nearby building using his space-switching power. Seeing Zhongli's skill shocked the 4 transformed monsters of the body integration realm. They had no idea who the real boss was. Some of you may not know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Zhongli, from the 9 realms. You can think of me as an alien, albeit one who comes from much farther than you can imagine. In the 9 realms, I serve as the human emperor, which makes me, more or less, a representative dealing with external affairs. So, I am your peer in terms of position. No need to worry about formalities. This is the White Marsh Emperor, White Snow Spirit, who commands half of the monsters in the 9 realms. Watching the muted reactions of the crowd, Sha Chao understood they didn't really grasp Zhongli's status. He whispered, "Brother Zhong is at the Mahayana realm. According to our calculations, he's an 8-star expert." Everyone then showed their respect. Zhongli felt all his earlier explanations had been pointless. Zhongli went on to recount the history of the Lingxi world, issues with the master-servant relationship, and the benefits of Shaoqing becoming the master of this world. The things Zhongli talked about seemed like fantasies, but seeing Shaoqing's slight nods, let everyone know that it was the truth. The final step to breaking the pact is for you to give diluted white marsh blood to your monsters, which will awaken their intelligence. Zhongli took out 10 barrels of blood. The cultivation of White Snow Spirit was far less than that of Duyi. Duyi could turn all the monsters into idiots with just a few drops of his blood, while she needed 10 barrels to awaken their intelligence. Luckily, White Snow Spirit happened to be a Bai-Zi. Her original form was way bigger than her human form, which enabled her to provide so much blood. This is White Marsh blood. When Zhongli said this, White Snow Spirit could not hide her surprise. However, the thought of countless fellow monsters becoming sentient made it easier for her to give up her blood. Once you return, give the blood to any monster below a 5-star rating. Within a week, billions of monsters who consumed White Snow Spirit's blood became sentient and bowed toward the direction of White Snow Spirit. This was equivalent to granting them new lives. Once the monsters became sentient, their relationship with the human race became complex. Some monsters liked humans and treated them kindly, while others hated humans and harbored wicked thoughts. Please note that the Master-Servant Pact has not been severed yet. Monsters with evil intentions toward humans were a grave concern. But under the engulfing dragon might, those monsters had no choice but to conceal their wicked thoughts and behave obediently. Zhongli didn't bother much about this. With Shaoqing there, things couldn't go awry. On the 8th day, all the monsters had their intelligence awakened and bowed to Shaoqing. Zhongli rose and flew into the sky. Slowly, he raised his arm and gradually clenched his fist. Countless microscopic threads appeared in Zhongli's hand, extending towards the distant horizon. The packed monsters and the humans involuntarily looked towards Zhongli. It felt like something extremely important was in his hands, beyond their control. Sha Chao and Chu Shi couldn't understand what Zhongli was doing. Shaoqing and the Bone-Wing White Tiger were equally clueless. Among the crowd, only White Snow Spirit understood the purpose of Zhongli's actions. These are the connecting threads of the Master-Servant Pact. Zhongli smiled softly and suddenly clenched his fist tightly. Billions of threads snapped and vanished into the air. White Snow Spirit was dumbfounded. She had pondered countless times on how Zhongli would sever the Master-Servant Pact, but never had she thought he would employ such a straightforward method. I've taught you all the equal pact from the beast control sect. It's up to you to pass it on to others. Of course, it is up to each individual whether to establish a new pact or not, do not force them. Yes, sir, Shaoqing bowed. Shaoqing hesitated for a moment before saying, I hope to establish a stable connection with the 9 realms. Seeing Shaoqing acting nonchalant on the outside yet desperately longing for him to agree, Zhongli couldn't help but laugh. You want to establish a connection with the beast control sect in White Marsh Dynasty, right? That's easily done, we just need to set up a permanent spatial passage in the Fonta Tower. White Snow Spirit was overjoyed. Even though the Lingxi world couldn't be considered a territory of the White Marsh Dynasty, she was more than happy to increase the strength of her monster brethren. As a matter of fact, I had mentioned you to the 4 Seas Dragon Kings when I went to get dragon blood from them. They said that once you have survived the tribulation of dragon transformation, you could come to the 4 Seas for exchange and study. Shaoqing agreed without any hesitation. This was a great opportunity. Even though she inherited a blood lineage, it didn't represent everything. 4 Seas was the base camp of the dragon clan in the 9 realms. They had more than a dozen real dragons. When it came to understanding the dragon clan and its lineage, she was not experienced enough. There was still a lot for her to learn. Xiao Qing's ambition wasn't just to transform into a dragon, that was just a starting point. She still wanted to achieve the stage of transcendence tribulation, or even a higher realm. You have to practice hard too. There's still one seat vacant for the Chongqi king in the White Marsh dynasty, White Snow Spirit told the white-haired girl. The White Marsh dynasty had 8 great demon kings, all in the body integration realm. Later on, the Chongqi king got greedy, plotting against Yu Yin and lost his sanity. As a result, when Yu Yin achieved the transcendence tribulation stage, he was killed. Since then, the position of Chongqi king has been open. The bone-wing white tiger, who had been shaped by Zhongli into a full-blooded Chongqi, could naturally become the Chongqi king of the White Marsh dynasty when she achieves the body integration realm. The white-haired girl pumped her fist, showing she would live up to White Snow Spirit's expectations. Sha Chao and Chu Shi exchanged glances, understanding each other's intentions. With their girlfriends being so motivated, they couldn't slack off. Chapter 346, First Generation Bai's Emperor. White Snow Spirit returned to the Bai's imperial dynasty, and the Kylan avatar was still reviewing memorials. In fact, the position of the Kylan king among the 8 great demon kings was also vacant. The previous Kylan king, who was White Snow Spirit's brother, made a move in front of Zhongli under the guise of auspicious identity and was killed by Zhongli with a finger poke. White Snow Spirit did not look for a new Kylan king, but allowed her own avatar to fill the position of the Kylan king. She also gave her Kylan avatar a new identity, the Regent. You've traveled from other worlds, and you've returned with some rare curiosities, Chengkun Immortal chuckled, studying the blood of Duyi brought back by Zhongli. The blood of a celestial-level extraterritorial devil is rare, even in the immortal realm. I have also only seen it a few times with my master. The master that Chengkun Immortal mentioned is the Dao sect patriarch. Zhongli recounted the events in the Lingxi world, and Chengkun Immortal nodded frequently after listening. The first-generation Bai's emperor was indeed a rare genius. I met him when he was a child. The Bai's imperial dynasty was established over 30,000 years ago when Chengkun Immortal was already an immortal who had long resided in the 9 prefectures. The first-generation Bai's emperor was likely a throwback. His parents were ordinary demons. We would have to go up countless generations to establish a connection with Bai's. Bai's was able to open up his spiritual intelligence during the Foundation establishment stage, much earlier than other demons. At that time, only demons at the divinity transformation stage and above had spiritual intelligence. After the first-generation Bai's emperor gained spiritual intelligence during the Foundation establishment stage, he became incompatible with the other demons and began to ponder some profound problems. He was able to answer these questions himself, but as he grew older and gained more knowledge from his bloodline, his questions became increasingly difficult. These questions troubled him and made him lose his desire to cultivate. One day, hearing of my existence, he came to the Dao sect to seek my advice. I was stunned by the child's questions. I've met young Bai's in the immortal realm before, but compared to the first-generation Bai's emperor, they seem much more childish. I thought he was a promising offspring and decided to form a positive bond, so I did my best to answer his questions. Under my care, the first-generation Bai's emperor's growth was much smoother. The first-generation Bai's emperor had a strong sense of independence. He wanted to grow independently, break free from my thinking framework. Gradually, I let go, no longer micromanaging everything. At this point, Chengkun Immortal looked somewhat embarrassed. Luckily, he loved to think independently and stopped coming to me with questions. As his experiences increased, the questions he asked became deeper and more profound. Some of them, not that I couldn't answer, might not even be answerable by anyone in the immortal realm. Later, he sought life through death and successfully advanced to the transcendence tribulation stage. He then asked me a question: how can the demonic race awaken their spiritual intelligence earlier? I asked him why he had such a thought. He said that the human race is strong and the demonic race is declining, mainly due to the wisdom of the human race. I told him there are many mythical beasts in the immortal realm and the human race treats the demonic race very kindly. Why does he think the demonic race is declining? He said although there are many mythical beasts, many of them are the mounts of immortals. This kindness is nothing more than the kindness shown to pets. He wanted to change this situation. I said letting the demonic race awaken spiritual intelligence would have them prematurely transform from the beast realm to the human realm, violating the cycle of the 6 realms of reincarnation. This is impossible. He didn't believe me, and said he wanted to give it a try. Later, he used the racial gift of Secretless, to ask the heavenly Tao for a solution, obtaining the method to awaken the spiritual intelligence of the demonic beasts. After he got the prescription, he thought that some of the medicinal ingredients were rare, and might become extinct in the future, so he further improved based on the prescription, incorporating it into the Bey's bloodline. In this way, as long as there were descendants, the spiritual intelligence of demonic beasts could be awakened. It was later confirmed that his concerns were correct, and you have seen the prescription from Snow Spirit. Zhongli nodded. 5 heart soul severing grass, longevity cream, bamboo spirit green of 10,000 years, fatty blood. There are other herbs, but they are now hard to find. Yes, indeed, he was a visionary. Like the 10,000 years stone bamboo, it was everywhere in the 9 prefectures in those days. Later, cultivators were indiscriminate in their cutting, showing off their all strength. Whoever was strong got everything, they only knew how to take but not to give back. The 10,000 years stone bamboo became increasingly rare, and now there are only a few left. Nowadays, these few are grown in the Ling medicine sect, extremely precious, constituting one of the rare achievements that can bring prestige to the alchemy peak of the Tao sect. And fatty's blood, there must be plenty more in the immortal realm, but there's none left in the 9 prefectures. The first generation Bey's emperor based on this, established the Bey's imperial dynasty. Oh, it wasn't called the Bey's imperial dynasty back then, but Bey's country. Only a country that lasts for 10,000 years has the qualification to be called an imperial dynasty. Bey's country was well known, rallying most of the demonic beasts of the 9 prefectures. When it comes to combat power, it was not less than that of the imperial dynasty at the time. Later, the first generation Bey's emperor ascended and made a great name for himself in the immortal realm. I met him in the immortal realm. He truly was a remarkable talent among immortals, and many great figures expressed goodwill towards him, wanting to take him under their wings. His cultivation talent was better than mine, and he achieved heavenly immortality in just 10,000 years. Later on, when the staircase to immortality disappeared, I lost all news of him. Chengkun Immortal sighed deeply, lost in his memories for a while before focusing back on the present. Indeed, this is the blood of Beys. Does this mean that there is Beys among the extraterritorial devils? It's hard to say. I mentioned before, there are many theories about the origin of extraterritorial devils. Some say that they are born from the void, some say they are the aggregates of negative emotions of living beings. Apart from these, there are also various strange theories. You've seen for yourself, the extraterritorial Earth Celestial had a messy body, as if hundreds of different beings were squeezed into one body. Some immortals think the reason for this situation is that extraterritorial devils are born from negative emotions. The negative emotions of many races and different beings created the extraterritorial devils. This explanation would also account for why even among devils, their structures are all different because they are born from different negative emotions. About Beys' blood, I think there are 2 possibilities. One is that Du Yi advanced from being an Earth Celestial Devil, eliminating the chaotic factors in his body and retaining only the part from Beys, as Beys represents wisdom. Another possibility is that Du Yi was born from all of Beys' negative emotions, which led to his insignificance differences from the true Beys. The blood of Du Yi is the opposite of the first generation Beys Emperor's blood, and it should also be partly born from the first generation Beys Emperor's negative emotions. Of course, all of these are predicated on the assumption that extraterritorial devils are born from negative emotions. Zhongli casually asked, is it possible that the extraterritorial devils are fallen immortals, or somehow connected with the immortals? The two looked at each other for a long time before Chengkun Immortal started to laugh out loud. How is that possible? You really have an imagination. Zhongli also smiled. Yes, how is that possible? I'm just overthinking. Chapter 347, Full Moon Banquet. When Zhongli arrived at the White Marsh Emperor's kingdom, he found White Snow Spirit was busy reviewing a stack of papers in the Yangqin Hall, demonstrating her diligence in public affairs. Are you the Kylan form of White Snow Spirit? Zhongli noticed the golden eyes of White Snow Spirit in front of him. They looked rather attractive. Accompanying Zhongli to the Lingxi world was the Beys form of White Snow Spirit. Seeing Zhongli arrive, Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit put away the official papers. Human Emperor, don't distinguish between us so meticulously. Be it the Beys form or the Kylan form, we are both White Snow Spirit. We share the same thoughts, the same feelings. I can sense everything she says, everything she does, and she can also sense my thoughts, my deeds. The Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit stressed, I am White Snow Spirit. What does the Human Emperor want with me? Do you still have the blood of the first generation Beys Emperor? Of course, would you like me to show you? Good. A satisfied smile decorated the corner of the Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit's mouth as she had been anticipating this moment. She telepathically messaged the base form of White Snow Spirit, "The human emperor needs me, it's your turn to handle the governance now." When the base form of White Snow Spirit rushed to the location, there were heaps of documents to be reviewed, but the Kylan form was nowhere to be seen. She ground her teeth in rage. After a painfully long time of governing, she had finally found an opportunity to delegate the task to her other form and truly enjoy freedom. To her surprise, her other form had the same idea. "Truly befitting of my other form. You seem to be livelier than your base form." Zhongli noticed that compared to the base form, Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit expressed herself more vividly. Naturally, after all, she is base, and I am Kylan. How does that make a difference? Base symbolizes wisdom. You've never seen a wise one laughing all day, it's not appropriate. Kylan symbolizes blessings. As a Kylan, I naturally should be lively and cheerful, to bring joy to people. Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit Analyzer read in all seriousness, leaving Zhongli unsure of whether what she said was the truth or not. As they were chatting, Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit fetched a sealed ivory bottle from the treasury. As she opened the bottle, a few drops of blood flew from it and hovered in the air. This is the blood left by our ancestor when he returned to the Kyushu after becoming a heavenly immortal. This was a treasure of the Baize Empire, but the Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit handed it over to Zhongli with no hint of guard or hesitation in her posture. Zhongli analyzed this drop of blood from the first-generation Baize Emperor, finding it similar to the blood used by Duyi, but with some minor differences. These differences are enough to distinguish the first-generation Baize Emperor from Duyi. Are you suspecting that our ancestor has a connection with Duyi? Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit was aware of the events at the Lingxi world because both forms share the same memory and feelings. I must be overthinking. Zhongli shook his head and returned the blood to the Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit. Come to think of it, White Snow Spirit had seen the blood of the first-generation Baize Emperor before. If their blood were identical, it would be impossible for her not to realize it. What's your take on the heavenly demon? Zhongli wanted to know what the Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit thought, as even though their personalities were different, their knowledge remained the same. I don't know anything about it. The heavenly demon is a blind spot in my knowledge. Baize is not omniscient. For example, I know nothing about the heavenly demon, the Mahayana realm, and how to break through the transcendence tribulation stage. The Golden-Eye White Snow Spirit joked, if I knew everything, I would have broken through the Mahayana realm by now. It's no surprise that the long-standing immortal is more experienced, having spent tens of thousands of years in the immortal realm. I, who have been relying on ancestral blessings, can't compare. Zhongli consoled her, the times have changed, there's no basis for comparison. During those days the path to immortality was still there. People in Kyushu were naturally aware of lots of things in the immortal realm and other worlds. Nowadays, we have lost all methods to communicate with the immortal realm and can only know about it through the notes provided by the immortals and the oral accounts given by the long-standing immortal. You shouldn't compare yourself to someone who has lived tens of thousands of years. Hall Master, I have some good news for you. Commander Lu contacted Zhongli, unable to hide his joy. Zhongli rarely saw Commander Lu looking so ecstatic. What happened? Commander Lu lowered his voice to a whisper, Mrs. and Mr. Ma Zhou are going to have a child. Zhongli didn't say a word, you don't have to whisper, it's as though you're the one responsible for it. Ahem, each time Ma Zhou is mentioned, I feel embarrassed and I tend to lower my voice involuntarily. Commander Lu felt awkward. Whenever Ma Zhou was mentioned, the talk always ended upon a sexual matter, and he had developed a kind of conditional reflex. Commander Lu regained his composure. Mr. and Mrs. Ma Zhou have a child now and will not have to exploit sexual matters anymore. The Imperial Palace has lost 2 troublemakers. The Imperial Palace will now have 2 normal commanders. Only then did Zhongli remember that Mr. and Mrs. Ma Zhou's preference for so-called aphrodisiac, or reunion-related, things was not innate, but more of a desire to have a child. Heaven rewarded the diligent. Their hard work finally paid off and they were to have a child. How old is the child? The child is still small, he will be born 9 months from now. It is indeed still quite a small child. Zhongli sympathized with Commander Lu's feelings, for he had similar feelings. Mr. and Mrs. Ma Zhou were back to being normal, meaning almost half of the 5-body integration realm commanders of the Imperial Palace were now ordinary people. In a bigger picture, the Imperial Palace was gradually stepping into the regular path. If this matter were not so inappropriate to share, Zhongli suspected that Commander Lu was considering throwing a grand celebration for this event. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Ma Zhou want to hold a small full-month banquet. Zhongli, do we have any different understanding of a full-month banquet? who would hold a full-month banquet only 1 month after they become pregnant. When Mr. and Mrs. Ma Zhou came to know about the child, they were very pleased and suggested that the full-month banquet should be held now. I thought they were joking and agreed. However, it turned out they were serious. I initially thought you were busy in the Lingxi world and we decided not to inform you so as to not interrupt your affairs. It just so happens that you're back, and I want to invite you to the full-month banquet. Only a few commanders and you, the hall master, are invited to the banquet. Commander Lu then shared the time and location of the full-month banquet with Zhang Li. Considering how far things had gotten, Zhang Li had no option but to participate. Do I need to bring any present? After all, Zhang Li thought he should express some courtesy. Zhang Li's question left Lu stunned. Who's to know what gift should be present at a full-month banquet for a 1-month pregnancy? No precedent has been set for this, hall master. You decide what to bring, whatever you bring will be appreciated. How is this different from asking me to order whatever I want? Zhang Li found Lu's response to be no different from not having one. He remembered a time when he went out to eat with Bai Hongtu and others. When he asked them what they wanted to eat, they told him to order whatever he wanted because they ate everything. As a result, after the dishes were ordered, they turned their noses up at this dish and complained about that one. Is this what they call ordering whatever I want? Among them, Bai Hongtu was always looking for a problem, like looking at a stir-fried cabbage and saying he didn't like to eat vegetarian food, or pointing at a braised lion's head and saying he didn't like to eat meat. Only Yu Yin would eat whatever Zhang Li ordered. In the end, Zhang Li and the others would gorge and make Bai Hongtu drink water. Chapter 348, The Last Book. The full moon banquet was not held in the imperial palace, but in the great Zhou dynasty. Business is business, and personal matters are personal matters, these must be distinguished. Commander Lu also left the imperial palace and took a day off. As the second in command of the imperial palace, Commander Lu naturally needed the permission from the one in charge, Zhang Li, to take a leave of absence. But when Commander Lu applied for leave, it felt a bit weird. Maybe I shouldn't be the one running the imperial palace in the first place. Zhang Li laughed it off and quickly approved Commander Lu's leave, then hung up the remote communication talisman. Zhang Li flew to the capital of the Zhou dynasty and, finding some time before the banquet, decided to stroll around. He stepped into a bookstore and noticed some people frowning, yet they were all rushing for a specific book. May I ask, what book is everyone scrambling for? Zhang Li asked, watching their actions. They seemed like they were scrambling for supplies at the end of the world. Zhang Li would never use his divine sense in a bookstore. Otherwise, once he unleashed his divine sense, all the contents of the books would enter his brain, making reading books no fun at all. Reading books should be a page-by-page process, to maintain the sense of anticipation. The man suspiciously eyed Zhang Li and, realizing he genuinely didn't know, showed him the book he had grabbed. It was an unhealthy book written by the couple Ma Zhou. Even though the laws in the Zhou dynasty were strict, they were still humane, not completely banning the sale of unhealthy books. As long as it wasn't brazenly sold, the Zhou dynasty would turn a blind eye to it. After all, many people would shout they were at odds with gambling and drugs. Therefore, the works of the couple Ma Zhou also had a market in the Zhou dynasty. It's a limited edition. The authors said they won't write anymore, this is their last book. This is a huge loss. The man spoke with deep regret. He opened to the last page of the book, where there was an author's note. The main idea was that the authors were earnestly repenting and had decided to stop writing. They would not allow publishers to print their works in the future, letting everyone forget each other in the rivers and lakes. This last book had therefore become a novel of commemorative meaning. Rather than saying people were scrambling for a book, it was more like a commemoration of their wonderful youth. Though that youth might be hard to articulate. Zhang Li didn't need to buy books, he was just here to see the bustling scene. He heard someone sigh, another great author is gone, only Mr. Lust is left. The couple of Ma Zhou were much older than Zhang Li, they were already writing books before Zhang Li's transmigration and were very famous within their circle. Mr. Lust was also writing books before Zhang Li's transmigration, so everyone was guessing who would stop writing first. It seems, Mr. Lust was the last one to laugh. A man who had shown Zhang Li the limited edition book slipped away after paying his bill. If the Zhou dynasty officers came to check the accounts and collect taxes, and found out they were selling books by the couple Ma Zhou, there would be big trouble. As for these kinds of matters, the Zhou dynasty would look the other way, without turning a blind eye entirely. Guided by the location given by Commander Lu, Zhang Li arrived at the best restaurant in the Zhou dynasty. He had heard of this place before. The consumption was extravagant, diners had to pay with top-grade spirit stones. This was very suitable for people like Zhang Li, who only kept top-grade spirit stones in his storage ring. He found he had arrived rather early, only Commander Ma Zhou and Commander Lu were there at the moment. Hall Master, long time no see. The enthusiastic greeting from the two commanders was full of bright smiles on their faces. We have reserved the entire restaurant. Don't worry, Hall Master, we didn't use our status to oppress others, we relied on our financial power. Without mentioning their sideline incomes, just their identities as body integration realm cultivators was enough to prove their wealth. It was not hard for body integration cultivators to reserve an entire restaurant. Commander Zhou still looked graceful and elegant, being only 1 month pregnant, there were no noticeable changes in her appearance yet. After trying for so many years, you finally conceived. Is it a boy or a girl? Although Zhang Li could easily find out with his divine sense, it wasn't polite to scan a pregnant woman with divine sense. It's a boy. According to ancient records, the moment of conception was when the cleansed soul that had crossed the river Lethe reincarnated, merging with the embryo and becoming one. At this point, the child would have life and the gender would be determined. You all arrived very early. Zhang Konggu also arrived, dressed very formally, showing signs of meticulous grooming. In comparison, Zhang Li and others were dressed quite casually. Not too bad, I'm not the last to arrive. Commander Mu arrived, fashionably late from the southern border. After some investigation, he found that there were quite a few demon cultivators in the southern border. Even after a round of cleanup, there were still many left. He was currently cooperating with the big and small witch countries to clean up the remaining demon cultivators. I'm here. Seeing everyone else had arrived, Commander Huang, who had been hiding in the distance, hesitated before deciding to fly over. Old Huang, you must keep your cultivation technique under control. Commander Ma Zhou warned Commander Huang. Huang's cultivation technique could induce negative emotions like loss and depression in people within his range, regardless of whether they were friends or foes. Even though they were body integration cultivators and were not affected by Huang's cultivation technique, the child in the womb might be. Their invitation to Commander Huang involved quite a struggle, but they ultimately decided to invite him out of respect for their colleague. I'm here, it's all right. Zhang Li offered a guarantee with his Mahayana realm cultivation. Reassured, Ma Zhou relaxed, and Commander Huang also looked at Zhang Li gratefully. As Zhang Li had anticipated, everything was already set up, and dishes had been arranged by Commander Ma Zhou. Would anyone like something to drink? Commander Ma Zhou asked everyone present. I'll have hawthorn juice, said Zhang Li, who wasn't really interested in drinking alcohol. Peach juice, said Commander Lu. I'll just have spring water. Zhang Konggu, who had lived on a diet of beast meat and spring water while honing his body as a child in the southern border, now drank only water and nothing else out of habit. His habit of insisting on sleep was also formed then. Only through ample sleep could he have the energy to deal with various challenges the next day. Sparkling water, said Commander Mu, naming a drink currently gaining popularity in the Zhou dynasty. Am I the only one drinking alcohol? In that case, I'll also have water. Commander Huang often drowned his sorrows in alcohol and enjoyed drinking wine. However, with everyone else refraining from alcohol, he felt too different drinking alone. So, he followed Zhang Konggu's lead and decided to drink water. What Commander Huang admired most about Zhang Konggu was his ability to make friends with everyone. He often mimicked Zhang Konggu's behavior. Commander Ma Zhou had also not planned to drink alcohol, as it could harm the child. Dishes of exquisite delicacies were served one after the other. There were two kinds of food served for cultivators, one was food that was consumed for its effect on cultivation, the other was food that was consumed purely for its taste. Naturally, Commander Ma Zhou had opted for the second type of food. They had already advanced beyond the stage where they needed to rely on food to enhance their cultivation. Our child's full moon banquet brought all of you from far away. We are deeply honored, and it is an unexpected pleasure for the hall master to attend. On behalf of my wife, our unborn child, and myself, we express our heartfelt thanks to all of you for coming. Everyone, please dig in and enjoy yourselves. Chapter 349, The Gift for the Child. I don't have anything special here, but here's something I concocted during my spare time, willow green essence. Once the child is born, have him take it. It can enhance life vitality. The Willow Commander smiled and handed over a small bottle to Commander Zhou. The Willow Commander claimed to have made it during his free time. But all he did while stationed at the Imperial Palace was to cover up for other reckless commanders and hall masters. he was mostly idle with little to keep him busy. The willow green essence was a rare item, unavailable in auctions and black markets. It was a specialty concocted from the branches of his own willow tree. Despite casual mention of its life-enhancing property, the essence did more than that for a newborn. Root fortification, marrow renewal, every good attribute for a child could be found in the willow green essence. I've got a 3-character classic here that was blessed by Buddha, give it to the child to read. Jong Konggu pulled out a brand new book as if it had just been printed. The contents of this book are catchy. Even I could memorize it: heaven and earth, universe and infinity, the sun and the moon, constellations and arrangement. The Willow Commander kindly reminded him, that's 1,000-character classic. Jong Konggu slapped his forehead, I've been reading too much lately and got all mixed up. Commander Ma looked puzzled. He could not find a connection between Buddha's blessing and the 3-character classic. Konggu, is this book genuine? Of course, it was gifted to me by the hierarch of the Confucian sect, Dong Zongren. Seeing that Commander Ma was still puzzled, Zhang Li explained, although it sounds strange, this 3-character classic really was blessed by Buddha. Legend has it that the Confucian sage, Kong Sheng, had a bet with Buddha. Buddha lost, and as a result, he blessed this 3-character classic. What does being blessed do? Commander Zhou was also curious. He hadn't expected Zhang Konggu's 3-character classic to have such significance. Zhang Li solemnly said, every creature in the 10,000 realms who has memorized the 3-character classic will always remember the phrase, at the start of life, nature was good. Nature is close, habits are distant. That's what it means to be blessed by Buddha. Subsequent 3-character classics all indirectly received Buddha's blessing, but the one Konggu holds here is the original. Commander Ma was under the impression that the blessed version wasn't much different from the unblessed. The 3-character classic in Zhang Konggu's hand was a big name with little usage. A direct experience could be garnered through the system store. This book had the same price as a body integration cultivation technique. One can easily obtain it for a few 10,000 origin points. It would be more apt to consider this not as Buddha's concession to his loss, but rather a joke between two grandmasters of the immortal realm. Otherwise, the hierarch of the Confucian sect, Dong Zongren, would not have given the book to Zhang Konggu. With mixed feelings, Commander Ma accepted the 3-character classic. Next up was the Wood Commander. I've had bad luck all my life, having encountered all manners of misfortunes. Therefore, I wrote this autobiography of mine. It can serve as a risk-avoiding guide for the child. Another weird gift followed. The Huang Commander, with empty hands but full of joy, said, I'm giving the child a big gift. What is it? I'm going to betroth my daughter to him. Everyone was astonished, especially the Willow Commander, who couldn't help but ask, when did you get a daughter? Very soon. Is she even full 1 month old yet? Huang Commander was pleased with himself. Almost. Aisu and I are already holding hands. Aisu was the clan leader of the Gu clan. Thanks to the master's advice on wooing girls, Aisu and I have made fast progress. A few years have passed and we're already hand-holding. Zhang Li modestly responded, they are all common sense tips. After holding hands, there are hugs and kisses, then intimacy and, eventually, she'll be pregnant and there's a 50% chance of a baby girl. So, I'll have a daughter soon. Zhang Li felt that Huang Commander's daughter was still a long way away from being born. Everyone there, including Zhang Konggu, rolled their eyes at Huang Commander. Even after centuries of trying to conceive, Commander Ma and his wife had only just had a child. But here was Huang Commander plotting to have a child after just holding hands. Marriage is a personal choice, let's not fix baby marriages. We have to respect the wish of the child. Zhang Li took a stand and so the baby marriage was dropped. Everyone turned to look at Zhang Li, curious as to what gift the hall master was to present the child. Zhang Li smiled, the child doesn't seem to have a name yet. I'll name him. A name bestowed by the human emperor was indeed a major gift. Commander Ma and his wife secretly prayed that as long as it wasn't Ma Li, anything else would do. A righteous and upright man is called Ma Zhongzheng. The couple was very satisfied with the name, Ma Zhongzheng, and thanked Zhang Li, thank you, master, for granting the name. When it was time for the bill, Commander Ma found something strange. Waiter, why is this juice so expensive? Even though the inn was notorious for being pricey, it couldn't just arbitrarily slaughter its customers. In Commander Ma's memory, the juice's current price was 10 times what it used to be. Sir, please understand, the juice is prepared from ingredients imported directly from the Tao sect. The waiter produced a certificate of authenticity from the Dao sect to verify the juice's origin. Commander Ma became even more curious. Does Great Zhou not have its own resources? Why do we need to import from the Dao sect? Sir, you may not be aware that a year ago, the Dao sect began a large-scale acquisition of hawthorn fruits and trees. With the influence and financial strength of the Dao sect, they have managed to completely monopolize the hawthorn market in Zhouzhou. Currently, hawthorn fruits are a luxury, only found in the Dao sect. It was only then that everyone noticed the drinks they'd ordered. The Willow Commander's peach juice was labeled as freshly squeezed peach juice. The spring water ordered by Zhang Konggu and the Wood Commander was Changbai Mountain Spring Water, and the hawthorn juice Zhang Li ordered was Imperial Supreme 9 Dragon Hawthorn Juice. RN has some connections with the Dao sect, so we managed to get the hawthorn fruits from them. The waiter showed the contract signed with the Dao sect. Let me see. Zhang Li took the contract curiously, wondering what tricks Bai Hongtu was up to again. There were several prohibitions in the contract, the first of which was a glaring one that forbade the usage of hawthorn in making sugar-coated haws. The waiter noticed Zhang Li's gaze lingered on this clause and explained, "We're not sure why the Dao sect requested it. We heard it was the sect master's idea. Given his vision and wisdom as a transcendent being, there must be profound reasons behind it." From the outside, all transcendents were seen as deep thinkers, silent and calculating. And the ones at the Mahayana realm were even more unpredictable and unfathomable. The commanders also saw this clause. It was obvious that Bai Hongtu was targeting Zhang Li. Even though the Imperial Palace supervised Zhouzhou, they wouldn't notice such small details. Who would dream that the Dao sect could monopolize the hawthorn industry? It was so unbelievable it wouldn't convince anyone if it was shared. Zhang Li left with a forced smile on his face. Waving his comrades off, he set out for the Dao sect energetically. Chapter 350, Dao sect, Sect Master's Bedroom. Bai Hongtu is currently undergoing an unprecedented proof, proving he can surpass Zhang Li. Because I, Bai Hongtu, am no weaker than anyone in my life, so I must be able to surpass Zhang Li. But Zhang Li's strength is terrifying and he cannot be considered a human. Proof failed. In terms of cultivation level, Zhang Li is merely deleted, a Mahayana realm cultivator, not a celestial, still in the realm of humans. Zhang Li is human. Because Zhang Li is human, I, Bai Hongtu, am no weaker than anyone. Hence, I, Bai Hongtu, am not weaker than Zhang Li. Bai Hongtu continues his proof. Because Zhang Li has been stuck in the Mahayana realm for a long time without advancing, it can be seen that his cultivation path has reached its end. Whereas, I, Bai Hongtu, have been constantly advancing, hence it can be seen that I, Bai Hongtu, will one day surpass Zhang Li. Proof successful. Bai Hongtu finishes writing his proof with satisfaction. To strengthen his confidence to defeat Zhang Li, Bai Hongtu writes this proof once every day. Sect Master, the Pure Heart Saintess from the Red Dust Pure Land has arrived. I'll be there shortly. The Saintess is an honored guest and should not be neglected. Serve her a cup of hawthorn juice. Yes, the Saintess of Pure Heart, sitting on the side, sips the sour hawthorn juice without understanding why Bai Hongtu has called her over. Bai Hongtu clears his stuff, retrieves a sheet of white paper from his bedroom. Saintess, could you write a few words so I can have a look? Sure. Bai Hongtu takes a serious look at the elegant small print written by the Pure Heart Saintess, then sits down at a desk on the side, posture straight, writing something very seriously. After a while, Bai Hongtu hands a stack of pink papers to the Saintess of Pure Heart. On seeing it, the Saintess's hand trembles and almost scatters the papers. These are love letters for you. Bai Hongtu gazes at the Saintess of Pure Heart without blinking. The Saintess never thought Bai Hongtu had such thoughts about her. She rejects him without thinking. Sect Master Bai, I like Zhang. Who would have thought Bai Hongtu would continue, and then you'll send these love letters to Zhang Li. Of course, they'll be under your name. Bai Hongtu then takes out many unique and interesting, but useless items from his storage ring. These are things I've collected from all over Kyushu. They're very suitable for couples to exchange. I'll give these things to you, then you can give them to Zhang Li. Saintess of Pure Heart feels her brain isn't working. Seeing such slow reaction of the Saintess, Bai Hongtu couldn't help but sigh deeply in sorrow. Saintess, with your speed of reaction, when can you catch up to Zhang Li? As a friend of Zhang Li, I'm very worried about his future. As you know, a person without a partner may go to extreme lengths, and even self-destruct. I see Zhang Li has such a tendency. Bai Hongtu stated confidently. We've been old friends for centuries now. Seeing your relationship has made me very anxious. So, I've helped you write these love letters in your handwriting, and I also have these small trinkets for couples. You just need to give them to Zhongli, and the distance between you two will close. Bai Hongtu appeared to be considering for the saintess of pure heart. However, the saintess couldn't help but feel that something wasn't right. She blushed and hastily rejected him. No, 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 this is too embarrassing. I'm not asking you two to establish a relationship. It's one step at a time. When time comes, it will naturally happen. Bai Hongtu takes out a map of Kyushu, marking many places with hearts on it. I've found the common dating spots for couples, like this moon-watching cliff. It is said that if you confess your love there, there's an 80% chance of success. And this underworld Grand Canyon, the dark environment can make a couple's hearts closer. They say every couple that comes out of underworld Grand Canyon will have their relationship deepen further. And this place, like a tour guide, Bai Hongtu proficiently explains the effects of each scenic spot to the saintess of pure heart. According to Bai Hongtu, even 2 rocks, after his operation, can give birth to pebbles. This is Bai Hongtu's way of dealing with Zhongli. To deal with Zhongli, we cannot use brute force, we need to be skillful and take a different path. Eventually, apart from monopolizing Hawthorne, Bai Hongtu thought of another method, making Zhongli fall in love. They say love makes people lose their mind. If Zhongli falls in love and fights him, he might make a mistake. Then with the support of his Kyushu spirit plant formation, he can launch a counterattack at once. The day for Bai Hongtu's comeback is near. However, there's a small problem with this plan. How do we make Zhongli fall in love? Bai Hongtu fixed his gaze on the pure heart saintess. Although many female cultivators in Kyushu are in love with Zhongli, Bai Hongtu thinks that the pure heart saintess is the most likely to succeed. This is his intuition as a regular visit to the Union sect. Seeing the wavering look of the pure heart saintess, Bai Hongtu knew he was about to succeed. Then I'll try it. The saintess of pure heart mustered up courage. Sect master, we have a visitor. Bai Hongtu, without thinking, directly refused. No. A visitor? What visitor could be more important than Bai Hongtu's surpassing of Zhongli? The disciple at the door whispered, it's the human emperor Zhong who has come. He seems to be here to question. I'll slip away. Old Bai, where are you trying to go? Zhongli suddenly appeared and blocked Bai Hongtu's way, looking at him with a smirk. Bai Hongtu forced a smile. I meant I was going to make 3 stir-fried dishes for you. Bai Hongtu turned to the disciples at the door. Didn't you see that the emperor has arrived? Why aren't you serving him hawthorn juice? You dare bring up hawthorn to me? Bai Hongtu replied seriously, Brother Zhong, you misunderstood me. Do you think I'm monopolizing the hawthorn business just to stop you from eating candied haws? How could I, Bai Hongtu, do such a thing? As you know, the quality of hawthorns is uneven, with a big difference between good and bad ones. Some candied haws made by unscrupulous vendors even have bugs in them. Seeing this, I was heartbroken and determined to change the situation. Our Dao sect is determined to gather hawthorns and research high-quality, high-yield varieties. As a cultivator in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, we naturally need to be responsible, and make sure that we secure the food safety for other cultivators. Not only should they eat healthily and safely, they should also find it delicious. Brother Zhong, rest assured, the expenses incurred in the process will not be reimbursed by the Imperial Palace. Zhongli silently watched Bai Hongtu making up stories. Seeing this, Bai Hongtu quickly diverted Zhongli's attention and pointed at the nervous pure heart saintess. The saintess has something to give you. Taking advantage of Zhongli turning his head, Bai Hongtu mouthed to the pure heart saintess. Give the love letter. This is for you. The pure heart saintess spoke very softly, not daring to look into Zhongli's eyes, and looked down to see if her shoes looked good. Zhongli looked at the girly love letters with a strange face, and the cheesy words made him shiver all over. When he finished reading, Zhongli suddenly said, Old Bai, this wouldn't be written by you for the pure heart saintess, would it? Bai Hongtu was shocked. I've clearly imitated the saintess's handwriting to write this, how could you see that? Zhongli pointed at the signature is your name. Chapter 351. Zhongli and Pure Heart Saintess Acquaintance. Zhongli's gaze at Bai Hongtu was also odd. The saintess of pure heart looked at Bai Hongtu with a strange gaze as well. Bai Hongtu swore, he had not actually put his heart and soul into helping the saintess of pure heart pursue Zhongli. Bai Hongtu's professional expertise told him that if he wanted to write a touching love letter that was realistic, he needed to have genuine emotions. He put himself in the position of the saintess of pure heart and wrote nauseatingly sentimental sentences. However, he carelessly let his guard down at the very end of writing the love letter. He slipped out of the perspective of Saintess Pure Heart and returned to his own perspective, which led to the love letter being signed as Bai Hongtu. But Bai Hongtu could not say that he bought an annual pass to the Union sect just to prove that he was straight. He still had some pride. Without Bai Hongtu's explanation, Zhang Li also knew this was another bungle Bai Hongtu had made. Zhang Li earnestly advised the Saintess Pure Heart, your mind wasn't the sharpest to begin with, and now you're listening to Bai Hongtu. Isn't this just adding fuel to the fire? Zhang Li seemed to be looking out for her, but somehow, the Saintess of Pure Heart did not feel comforted. How did I become dim-witted? Even if my brain doesn't work very well, I still emerged from a group of disciples of the Pure Land of Red Dust to become a saintess. This alone should prove that I am the smartest among the Pure Land of Red Dust. I'm not saying you don't have enough knowledge, but rather that you are innocent of the world's malice. Don't forget the scene of our first meeting. The Saintess of Pure Heart could certainly remember the scene of her first meeting with Zhang Li. She had been high above, looking down on Zhang Li. As soon as you came down from the Pure Land of Red Dust, you were deceived by a demon cultivator, who sealed your cultivation and tied you to the roof. Thankfully, I happened to be passing by and rescued you. The Saintess of Pure Heart also remembered that at that time, Zhang Li had descended like a heavenly god. The malicious cultivator became fearful upon seeing Zhang Li and ran away. Back then, I was only at the golden core stage, while the malicious cultivator was at the nascent soul stage. Fortunately, a nascent soul stage official from the Zhou dynasty was with me. He is Gigi's uncle. The malicious cultivator knew that the Zhou dynasty has the strongest demon exterminating attitude and became fearful, hence, he hastily escaped. The Saintess of Pure Heart still remembered that at that time, Zhang Li defeated the malice cultivator with his weaker force, in his golden core body. Gigi's uncle fought bitterly with the malicious cultivator, both suffering heavy losses. The malice cultivator was seriously injured by Gigi's uncle, but the situation wasn't looking good for Gigi's uncle either. He could barely muster the strength to attack. That's when I seized the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and killed the malicious cultivator. If I had arrived a bit later, you could have been used by the malicious cultivator as a sacrifice to break through to the divinity transformation stage. It would have been very dangerous. The Saintess of Pure Heart also remembered that after Zhang Li saved her, he praised her for her potential. After I took you down from the beam, hearing how the malicious cultivator deceived you, I told you that you were indecisive. Later, worried about you being deceived again, I changed my route and stayed with you for 3 months, teaching you what could be trusted and what couldn't. In these 3 months, the Saintess of Pure Heart had her eyes opened wide. She had never imagined that the world outside of the Pure Land of Red Dust was so fascinating, or that people's inner thoughts were more complex than the scenic beauty of the 9 states. More importantly, she was deeply attracted to Zhang Li. During those 3 months, Zhang Li also had his eyes opened wide. He had never thought that a nascent soul stage cultivator could be so naive. All he could say was that it was really something for someone who came from the Pure Land of Red Dust to be so naive about the world. Bai Hongtu had heard the Saintess of Pure Heart talk about how she met Zhang Li and heard Zhang Li talk about how he met the Saintess of Pure Heart. He felt like he was listening to 2 completely unrelated stories. I am telling you again, never trust a single word from Bai Hongtu. Bai Hongtu felt that Zhang Li had the audacity to slander him to his face. At least he speaks the truth half of the time. Don't let Bai Hongtu's honest appearance fool you. This guy has plenty of tricks up his sleeve. Back when the old human emperor was testing us as candidates for the next emperor, all the ideas that drove the emperor up the wall were his, I just executed them. Bai Hongtu got anxious, you're talking crap. All the ideas were mine. Half of those ideas came from you. Not to mention, the idea to sell 10,000 combs to old Buddha Sumi was yours. Zhang Li pretended not to hear. The Saintess of Pure Heart firmly remembered Zhang Li's statement. She could not trust a word Bai Hongtu says, including the previous comment. The Saintess of Pure Heart gave Bai Hongtu a wary glance and pulled Zhang Li aside. The next matter could not be heard by Bai Hongtu. What is it? Master Hongchen wants to go out for fun. The charm of Fairy Hongchen was quite dangerous to the 9 states. Zhang Li had once said that if Fairy Hongchen wanted to leave the Pure Land of Red Dust, he would have to follow her. Actually, the Saintess of Pure Heart could have communicated this matter with Zhang Li through the remote communication talisman, but a conversation using a talisman could not compete with a direct conversation. She would, as much as possible, look for opportunities to spend more time with Zhang Li. Where would the master like to go? Zhang Li didn't have much to do recently, and the tasks assigned by the system were all either, this task can be abandoned, or, this task is recommended not to be abandoned. He had simply abandoned them. On the third day of the third month, Penglai Fairy Island will be holding a Shengxi festival on the island. The master wants to go there to play. Zhang Li had heard of the Shengxi festival, a well-known gathering for female cultivators in the 9 states, which only allows women to participate. Penglai Fairy Island has always been a major host for Shengxi festival. It is very reputable among female cultivators. Although cultivation does not differentiate between men and women, men can become immortals and women can also become immortals. However, looking at the numbers, only a quarter to a fifth of high-level cultivators are women. Among those in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, only Yu Yin is a woman. If census was taken 10 years ago, there would not have been a single female among the Transcendence Tribulation stage. The position of human emperor is the same. Of the 72 emperors, 18 are women. Under such circumstances, female cultivators naturally feel the need for solidarity. Over time, this has led to the Shengxi festival. As the largest female cultivating sect, the Pure Land of Red Dust naturally received an invitation. However, the Pure Land of Red Dust, as the name implies, tends to be indifferent to changes in the outside world and seldom emerges. Its participation in the Shengxi festival has been infrequent. The Saintess of Pure Heart didn't have much interest in the Shengxi festival. She felt a lot of the participants in the Shengxi festival liked Zhang Li, and were rivals for her affections. She wasn't particularly keen to attend a gathering full of rivals. Originally, the Saintess of Pure Heart had no intention of participating when she received the invitation. However, she couldn't resist Fairy Hongchen's curiosity in insisting on attending the Shengxi festival, and not letting her go would be disrespecting the sect. The Saintess Pure Heart had no other choice but to allow her master to participate. Now that she thought about it, this seemed to be a good opportunity to increase her contact with Zhang Li. The Shengxi festival, isn't it inappropriate for me to attend? Zhang Li hesitated. The charm of Fairy Hongchen does not differentiate between men and women. Even going to a Shengxi festival, which is all women, could cause a commotion. The Saintess of Pure Heart immediately reassured, how could it be? Everyone would be delighted for you to come. Seeing the Saintess Pure Heart's firm attitude, Zhang Li agreed as well. Chapter 352, Penglai Fairy Island. Penglai Fairy Island is located on the back of the 9 provinces continent, surrounded by sea. It is a rare stronghold of the human race among the 4 seas. The days and nights on the back side of the 9 provinces continent are reversed, as when it's day on the front side, it's night on the back. Zhang Li always thinks of the geocentric theory from his previous life when he hears this fact, the theory that states their planet is the center of the universe and the sun orbits around them. This was later proven false. But in the world of 9 provinces, the geocentric theory is correct. The stars honor the sun and the moon, while the sun and moon respect the 9 provinces continent. The celestial bodies orbit the 9 provinces continent, which is undeniably the center of the universe. Legend has it that initially the 9 provinces continent was not in the center of the universe. It was relocated to the middle due to the OCD of the ascetic ancestors who believed the center was a more pleasing position. However, this legend is so ancient that even the long-lived immortal sages cannot confirm its authenticity. Of course, Zhang Li was also capable of accomplishing something as minor as moving an entire continent. So this is the flying boat. It's quite ingeniously constructed. The Red Dust Fairy, her face veiled, curiously leaned over the railings, her big, animated eyes looking at the clouds and the vast sea beneath. This was her second time out of her sect, and everything in the 9 provinces is novel to her. Everything deserved to be experienced. This naturally included the flying boat used for the transportation of low-level cultivators. A blue continent slowly emerged from the water, spewing clouds and mist, the continent growing bigger and bigger, until it was too big to see in just one glance. The blue continent made a clear, resonant sound and revealed a large tail. It turns out it's not a continent, but a giant coon, mythological whale. Look, isn't that a coon? The Red Dust Fairy joyfully pointed out the creature she recognized from the Immortal Beasts Guide. Not just the Red Dust Fairy, the other women cultivators on the flying boat were also witnessing the giant coon for the first time, all of them huddled at the railing to watch. Red Dust Fairy blended in perfectly among the group of low-ranked women cultivators. Can't clan ancestor be quiet for a while? Pure Heart Saintess felt helpless, feeling as if her clan ancestor was like her when she first descended the mountain. The sense of déjà vu was too strong. As always, Red Dust Fairy is as naive and spontaneous. Zhang Li laughed. This flying boat was headed to Penglai Fairy Island, and it was full of women cultivators. To avoid attracting attention, Zhang Li made himself invisible and stayed close to Pure Heart Saintess. Pure Heart Saintess subtly moved half a step closer to Zhang Li, her lips curling into a small, blissful smile. I heard the disciples of Penglai Fairy Island train extremely hard. They are still practicing while we are sleeping. They truly deserve to be disciples of the 6 major sects. A female cultivator commented, drawing a chorus of admiration from the others, their hearts filled with longing for Penglai Fairy Island. Zhongli thought to himself, well, this is obvious, when you all are sleeping at night, it's daytime for Penglai Fairy Island. I also heard that Mo Ruiyu, the leader of Penglai Fairy Island, was once married, but her husband died soon after. I had the honor of seeing Mo, the island master, at the Dao Sect Appraisal Conference. She was truly so beautiful that even women would be moved. It's said that many cultivators harbor secret affections for her. But Master Mo treats all pursuers with indifference. Some people say that Master Mo has a husband-killing curse, and it's not known if she remains unmarried because of this reason. Zhongli heard all the gossip along the way, making his ears practically calloused by the time the flying boat reached Penglai Fairy Island. Along the way, Red Dust Fairy saw many novel things. A coon transforming into a pung and soaring across the sky, an army of shrimp soldiers and crab generals conducting military exercises in the sea, Lier being pursued and blocked by his wife, a dragon son flaunting his wealth and showing off his financial strength. Penglai Fairy Island has an equal number of male and female cultivators. However, the island leader, Mo Ruiyu, is a female cultivator with a strong personality, resulting in the female disciples of Penglai Fairy Island having slightly higher status than the male disciples. The most obvious manifestation of this is during the Shengxi festival when male disciples have to visit the Dragon Palace as guests. Penglai Fairy Island is shrouded in mist all year round. Only the disciples know the correct way to enter. If one recklessly tries to enter, they will wander forever in the mist. The mist is actually the sect protection array of Penglai Fairy Island. After disembarking from the flying boat, a female disciple from Penglai Fairy Island came over to verify their gender. In the past, there were quite a few male cultivators who disguised themselves with the aim to participate in the Shengxi festival. Those who were discovered were immediately exposed by Penglai Fairy Island, letting all the cultivators in the 9 provinces know about these frauds. Are you Pure Heart Saintess? A disciple from Penglai Fairy Island took the note handed over by Pure Heart Saintess and couldn't help exclaiming in surprise. The others on the boat had not expected that someone as important as Pure Heart Saintess would have traveled via a flying boat. And the person with you is, the Penglai Fairy Island disciple had never seen someone wrapped so tightly. But her eyes were captivating, as if one could stare into them forever. She's shy and doesn't like meeting people, could you please understand? Pure Heart Saintess certainly couldn't let anyone reveal her guru's face, it'd cause a big commotion. Judging by the expressions on the disciples, the guru, by just her eyes alone, could attract people. Even if they were the same gender. Pure Heart Saintess's clean and pure image worked as expected, and the Penglai Fairy Island disciples didn't believe that Pure Heart Saintess would bring a man to the Shengxi festival. The invisible Zhongli trailed behind Pure Heart Saintess, remaining silent. Upon stepping foot on Penglai Fairy Island, many cultivators felt a surge of energy. The spiritual energy here was very rich, their own sect's best cultivation caves couldn't compare to the spiritual energy concentration here. Precious spirit plants thrived everywhere, growing lush. At a glance, there were over a dozen spirit plants that could directly enhance one's cultivation level after ingestion. However, Red Dust Fairy showed no interest in the rich spiritual energy or the spirit plants everywhere. Her own sect, Red Dust Pure Land, had these as well. Moreover, it was even more abundant than on Penglai Fairy Island. Penglai Fairy Island hasn't changed a bit. Zhongli smiled. He had been to Penglai Fairy Island several times and was quite familiar with this scenario. At the stage of divinity transformation, Zhongli encountered a mishap during his practice. He lost all his cultivation, suffered severe injuries and was left drifting about the East Sea, in grave danger of being swallowed by passing sea tribes. At that moment Mo, the island master, happened to be passing by and picked up Zhongli, bringing him back to Penglai Fairy Island. Zhongli lived there for 2 months, recovered from his injuries, and then left after expressing his gratitude to Island Master Mo. After Zhongli became the human emperor, he visited Penglai Fairy Island several times to share his cultivation experiences as a way of repaying Island Master Mo for saving his life. Pure Heart Saintess is a top figure among female cultivators. Many female cultivators see her as their role model. For example, Song Ying, who always followed Qin Luan, chose to take Pure Heart Saintess's form in the mysterious secret realm. As opposed to Yu Yin, who controls the imperial court and has a domineering personality, female cultivators rather prefer the pure and kind Pure Heart Saintess. Therefore, the arrival of Pure Heart Saintess on Penglai Fairy Island caused a huge stir. Out of respect for Pure Heart Saintess, people did not crowd around her, but formed a large crowd that moved as Pure Heart Saintess moved, making Pure Heart Saintess feel uncomfortable. "What's the point of crowding around?" A faint voice resounded among the crowd. Yu Yin, who had discarded her imperial robe for casual clothes, slowly walked over, her eyes lightly adorned with golden eyeshadow. Even though she is wearing casual clothes, her imperial dignified attitude doesn't decrease, it even feels stronger and heavier. Yu Yin didn't use her cultivation, and just with her aura alone, she scared all the female cultivators into running away. "Thank you, Empress, for coming to my rescue." Pure Heart Saintess thanked her. "We may not interact much, but we are, after all, acquaintances. Just call me Yu Yin." Chapter 353, Bestseller. Who is this lady? Yu Yin noticed Fairy Red Dust, whose aura was very nebulous. Even with her divine sense at Transcendence Tribulation stage, she couldn't see through her. Unless she herself was also at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. But currently, the only female cultivator at the Transcendence Tribulation stage was she, so how could a second Transcendence Tribulation stage female cultivator appear unnoticed? Seeing the unusual expression on Yu Yin, Pure Heart Saintess finally realized the problem. Master Hongchen had refined this set of immortal artifact level clothes for Fairy Red Dust to reduce attention and hide her aura. The function of hiding the aura remained intact even in the Transcendence Tribulation stage. There were only a few at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, so a newcomer who could deceive the divine sense of the Transcendence Tribulation stage would naturally be surprising to anyone who saw them. Pure Heart Saintess broke a sweat on her forehead, telling a lie was a great challenge to her. "Pure Heart, don't worry, I know Yu Yin. She is tighter-lipped than both Bai Hongtu and Gigi. She won't tell anyone about this." Zhang Li secretly transmitted. Having received Zhang Li's backing, Pure Heart Saintess was relieved. "Come and have a chat with me over here, Sister Yu Yin." Pure Heart Saintess and Yu Yin were of the same generation. When it came to age, Yu Yin was a few years older than Pure Heart Saintess. Pure Heart Saintess took Yu Yin to a secluded spring by the mountains. The clear mountain spring was babbling, setting an excellent mood. Fairy Red Dust wanted to catch fish in the river, but she was persuaded back by Pure Heart Saintess. Yu Yin raised her eyebrows. This veiled female cultivator was either childish or perhaps just naive. "This is the ancestor of our Red Dust Pure Land, Fairy Red Dust." Upon hearing this, Yu Yin was startled and raised her eyebrows once again. Zhang Li knew that Yu Yin rarely showed any facial expression, most of the time, her face was impassive. Now that she had raised her eyebrows twice, it showed that she was surprised enough. Is this the Fairy Red Dust who enchanted the immortal realm, the embodiment of the beauty of the heavenly Tao? Yu Yin finally understood why she veiled herself. According to legend, Fairy Red Dust's charm was irresistible. Even her portrait could cause chaos and make people lose their minds, let alone seeing her in person. But wasn't the venerable ancestor already deceased? Although the soul of the ancestor reincarnated, the body still exists and has created a new soul. The concept of a body creating a soul was something Yu Yin had heard of before, but this was her first encounter with the actual situation. "Hello there, you look strong," Fairy Red Dust cheerfully said. "In front of the immortal, I, Yu Yin, dare not claim to be strong." Yu Yin saluted Fairy Red Dust. She was curious about Fairy's real face behind the veil, but considering the legend of Fairy Red Dust, she did not trust herself. Yu Yin then spoke to the air, "Zhang Li, I know you're here. Stop hiding." Zhang Li was confident in his ability to hide and thought that Yu Yin was deceiving him. Yu Yin cornered her mouth into a cold smile. Originally, Sister Pure Heart was hesitant and afraid to mention the matter about Fairy Red Dust. Then, she suddenly made up her mind and told me about it. Who do you think could make her so determined? Zhang Li had no choice but to show up. "I know you're clever, but can you not reveal yourself in front of me?" "I dare not brand myself as clever in front of you. Every time the Human Emperor candidacy test takes place, you and Bai Hongtu always come first and second, while I merely rank third." The Human Emperor candidacy test was a comprehensive examination, including but not limited to combat power, talent, intelligence, and so on. For all these categories, Yu Yin was not weaker than Bai Hongtu and Zhang Li, but when it came to intelligence, she was slightly inferior. Yu Yin's legitimate tactics couldn't compete with the unpredictable tricks and schemes of Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu. The old Human Emperor was fond of Yu Yin and felt that although Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu were excellent, they were not steady. Therefore, they imposed various restrictions on these two during the test, as if directly saying you should stop making trouble. Shocker. They both came out with newer methods each time. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your sneaky infiltration into the Shengxi festival. Zhang Li glared, what do you mean I sneaked in? I'm here to ensure Fairy Red Dust's matter remains a secret. Yu Yin ignored Zhang Li, this should be both your first time attending the Shengxi festival, let me show you around. Zhang Li asked Fairy Red Dust to disguise her aura to the body integration realm, so others would only think that Fairy Red Dust was just a body integration realm cultivator from the Red Dust Pure Land. The four of them returned to the main venue of the Shengxi festival, while Zhang Li went invisible, visible only to the other three. Zhang Li, mingling among the groups of women, felt like a pervert. He saw many items on sale for female cultivators, such as youth retention pills, indecent clothing, hair protection solutions, sun cream, Shen power replenishing techniques. Although it was a novelty for Zhang Li, he did not feel the slightest impulse to buy anything. Your face doesn't look very good, is everything alright? Pure Heart Saintess noticed something odd about Zhang Li. Zhang Li sighed, maybe because it's all female cultivators, everyone is wearing far cooler clothes than usual, showing their arms and thighs. If they knew I was here, I doubt they would wear like this. In Zhang Li's previous world, the customs of JoJo did not allow such casual dressing among women, with the exception of few clans like the Demons and the Insect clan. Other female cultivators were modest in their clothing, not even revealing their ankles. However, at the Shengxi festival, it seemed like the women were flaunting their good figures, showing off arms and thighs, their clothes were even more body-hugging, revealing the contours of their chests. Yu Yin laughed, what do you think, if they knew you were here, would they wear more or less? Before Zhang Li could answer, he was called over by Fairy Red Dust, who was squatting on the ground reading a book. Come and see, these books are really interesting. What book is the ancestor reading? Pure Heart Saintess bent down, supported her knees with both arms, and asked softly. Rebirth 500 years, a Mahayana monk falls in love with me. Fairy Red Dust read the synopsis on the cover earnestly, she was betrayed and reborn 500 years ago. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw a pitiful little cultivator. She knew that this little cultivator would ultimately become an eye-catching Mahayana monk. But who knows how bitter the path to immortality can be, what he had lost and endured before he became a Mahayana monk. She held the little cultivator and said arrogantly, in this life, I will let you comfortably become a Mahayana monk without losing anything or undergoing any hardships. And this one, Lord Zhang Li, no, please. He is a high and mighty Mahayana monk, the guardian of JoJo, a ruthless powerhouse who makes the outer heavenly demons lose courage at the mere mention of him. She is a clumsy maidservant, a backdrop for the cultivators. Two people who initially would never intersect meet at a banquet. Since then, he gained a naive and cute little maidservant, and she gained a gentle Mahayana monk beside her. This fellow Taoist has good taste. These two books are two of the best sellers recently. The booth owner enthusiastically promoted them. Pure Heart Saintess purchased these two books under the pretext of buying them for Fairy Red Dust. Zhang Li noted that the bookstall was neatly arranged, with small signs dividing each area. The section with the largest number of books was called the Zhang Li area. Apart from Fairy Red Dust and Pure Heart Saintess, many other female cultivators were buying books from this area. Even, erotic teacher area, was not as lively as this. Chapter 354, The Body Integration Realm praised the used sunscreen. Despite their captivating storytelling and compelling romantic plot twists, it's regrettable that the Love Desire teacher has never written a book based on Zhang Li, a fact that has caused countless female cultivators to sigh in disappointment. More than the style of writing, it's the plot that people love. It's no surprise that the Zhang Li Zone is a hit. Buy one of each of these books. Yu Yin didn't skimp on the money. Zhang Li was astonished. Fairy Red Dust wants to read books, it's understandable for Pure Heart to buy them for her, but why are you buying these items? To laugh at the discrepancy between people's imagination and the reality of who you are. Each time Yu Yin finished reading a book about Zhang Li, she could laugh for a while, thinking of the fabricated stories and the actions and behaviors of the Zhang Li character in the book. One could say that the Zhang Li people imagine is only similar to the real Zhang Li in name and cultivation rank. Yu Yin narrated her reign career. Now I get angry when I finish reading reports, then I get happy when I read these books, then I get angry again when I read the reports, and then happy again when I read the books. It's a cycle. Thank goodness I'm not the emperor. Zhang Li was relieved that he was the human emperor, not an emperor in any dynasty where he would have to review reports and deal with political affairs. He was capable of handling major issues, but he believed he was ineffective in dealing with scattered minor issues. Moreover, although these issues seemed minor to him, they weighed much heavier on the common people. Even slight carelessness could increase their burden. If it weren't for the lack of people who could be the emperor in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, and my unlucky killing of the previous emperor of heaven origin, who would want to be the empress? Yu Yin vented to Zhongli. But being an empress is so domineering. The pure heart saintess quite liked the title, Empress of Heaven Origin, feeling it carried an air of authority. Do you know what's the one step you lack for success? You lack self-confidence. Success. What success? The pure heart saintess didn't understand Yu Yin's words. Yu Yin didn't say anything more. Would you like to buy some sunscreen? A peddler cultivator noticed that Fairy Red Dust was wearing heavy clothing that didn't expose even her fingers, supposing she was afraid of getting a suntan. Sunscreen. Fairy Red Dust had never heard of this product and was somewhat curious. Sunscreen was made for low-level cultivators who could easily get sunburned or tanned after enduring the scorching sun and sweating profusely for a long time. The world of red dust was protected by a grand array and didn't have to worry about getting tanned. Yes, this bottle of sunscreen is especially effective. Have you heard of Dream Yu Yu from the Union sect? After she applied this sunscreen, she could take a sunbath directly under the sun without getting tanned or sunburned. Dream Yu Yu's image was printed on the small bottle of sunscreen. Fairy Red Dust was confused, but I remember that cultivators reach a body integration realm where they can freely move under the sun, right? Zhongli looked at Fairy Red Dust with approval. She's finally becoming alert. Of course, Sect Master Dream has the blessing of her cultivation level, so she's not afraid of the sun. But does our sunscreen have no effect at all? It definitely has its uses. Oh, is that so? I didn't even know I used your sunscreen. A cold voice came from behind the female cultivator who ran the stall, and she felt a chill down her spine. You dared to use my image for advertising, are you tired of living? Yu Yu lifted up the chin of the stall owner, a cruel smile playing on her lips. The Union sect is in need of a disciple who is forbidden to practice cultivation and can only serve customers. It seems like you have some interest in this position. Forbidden to cultivate, only allowed to serve customers. The stall owner shook her head furiously. Yu Yu snorted coldly and handed the stall owner to a disciple behind her. The problem happened on Penglai Fairy Island, take her to Master Mo for punishment. Thank you, Sister Yu Yin, for informing me of this matter through divine sense. Yu Yu is grateful. No problem. Yu Yin nodded slightly. Yu Yu quickly shifted her gaze away from Fairy Red Dust, dismissing her as just one of the elders of the body integration realm from the world of red dust. You all continue walking around, I'll see if I can find some more talented disciples for the Union sect. Yu Yu attended the market to recruit. Despite being generally unpopular, the Union sect received a large number of applications from male cultivators every year. However, it received far fewer applications from female cultivators. Yu Yu's biggest dream was for all disciples to proudly declare that they were from the Union sect. But looking at the current situation, there was still a huge gap before that dream could become a reality. Sect Master, there's big trouble. A beautiful Union sect disciple hurried over. Upon seeing her idols, Pure Heart Saintess and Empress Yu Yin, she toned down her voice. To her, Pure Heart Saintess was a symbol of softness and purity, while Empress Yu Yin was a model of independence and dominance. What's the big deal? Did something happen to the lecture platform? In front of her love rival, Pure Heart Saintess, Yu Yu wanted to project an image of being in control and of having a clear plan. The Union sect had rented a spot on Penglai Fairy Island for a lecture platform, which it used to propagate Union sect's ideas and recruit disciples. Buddhism opened a lecture platform right opposite ours, and a lot of people who listened to our lectures turned to Buddhism instead. What? How can this be? Yu Yu was annoyed. This was a blatant move against the Union sect by Buddhism. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't beat Buddhism, she would have liked to buy Buddhism out and have those seemingly moral and upstanding Buddha figures come to the Union sect and serve as hospitality elders. Buddhism. Fairy Red Dust was not unfamiliar with Buddhism. The leader of the Clean Desire sect of the world of Red Dust often visited them. But as far as she knew, the leader of the Clean Desire sect couldn't resist her charm, and she hadn't even met him in person. Shall we take a look? Zhongli asked. Yu Yin threw a glance at Zhongli, thinking that he was the one who wanted to go the most. Fairy Red Dust nodded obediently. The four of them walked towards the lecture platform, and the number of people slowly increased, making it very lively. Zhongli noticed that the audience was divided into three distinct groups. One group was standing under Buddhism's lecture platform listening to Buddhist scriptures, one group was standing under the Union sect's lecture platform listening to instructions on copulation positions. The last small group was indecisive, sometimes going to Buddhism, sometimes to the Union sect, almost mentally splitting. Buddha said, even if you have a lot of wisdom and can perceive the present moment, if you don't give up lust, you will definitely fall into the demonic path. Feasting and indulging in desires is human nature, happiness is the essence, it's true to both men and women. The person in charge of Buddhism's lecture was the fragrance elephant bodhisattva. With a red dot on her forehead, barefoot in a white robe, although she was an extremely beautiful woman, she didn't awaken any lust in people. The person in charge of the Union sect's lecture was a cultivator with naturally beautiful eyebrows that could attract men. However, at this women's market, her eyebrows weren't of much use. Zhongli didn't recognize this person, but since she was in the body integration realm, she must be an elder of the Union sect. Yu couldn't hold back her anger and wanted to fight fragrance elephant bodhisattva. Another elder quickly dissuaded her. This was a market, not a martial arts competition. If they fought here, Penglai Fairy Island would definitely not give them face. Chapter 355, Joyful Bodhisattva. As one of the 6 major sects, the power of the Buddhist discipline far surpassed that of the Union sect, but the Union sect was not afraid of the Buddhists. The Buddhists also had to be reasonable. If you preached abstinence and denied desire right in front of us, wouldn't that be stepping on our toes? Our Union sect isn't vegetarian either. Thus, Zhongli saw a very peculiar scene. On one side, there were Buddhist chants purifying the soul, encouraging people to escape into the monastic life. On the other, there were sensual speeches encouraging the enjoyment of bodily pleasures, the union of yin and yang. Under the lecture stage of the Union sect, a female cultivator was swayed. She hesitantly raised her hand, indicating her desire to join the Union sect. A gorgeous cultivator from the body integration realm came over and asked in as gentle a tone as possible, "Child, why do you want to join the Union sect?" "Because the Union sect is a major sect, and I can't escape into the monastic life." "Don't you think it's awkward to practice the Union art?" The female cultivator said, "Not at all. The love between men and women is a part of natural order. There's no need to deliberately go against it. The Union art is nurtured under such philosophy and is in line with the utmost truth of nature. There's nothing indecorous about practicing it." The cultivator from the body integration realm continued to ask, "But from now on, you will have to combine with many male cultivators. Are you okay with that?" "Absolutely. I am more loving than others. I love every male cultivator. I want to give them a warm home." Under the guidance of the body integration realm cultivator, the female cultivator gradually recognized and accepted her true nature. The cultivator from the body integration realm nodded slightly and smiled, "You have awakened. You can join under my joyful bodhisattva." The female cultivator was overjoyed, "Thank you, bodhisattva." "Wait, joyful bodhisattva. Amitabha, I am the joyful bodhisattva from the Buddhist sect." Dream Yu sensed something was wrong. She walked over in a fit of anger, shielding the female cultivator. "Not only does your Buddhist sect clash with us, but now you even dare to recruit under our stage." Joyful bodhisattva was cultivating with flowing hair. Her black and shiny hair spread softly over her shoulders, and her satin robe highlighted her exquisite curves. Her fair skin was flushed with a faint blush, and her eyes were filled with tenderness, quite unlike the self-contained nuns. She wasn't in monk's robes, and as she walked under the Union sect stage, everyone thought she was an elder from the Union sect. Joyful bodhisattva was calm, with one hand raised in front of her chest. "Miss Dream, I have confirmed with the people from Penglai Fairy Island, you rented the stage, not the space in front of it. Naturally, I can recruit disciples here." Dream Yu was almost furious enough to crook her nose. If the abstinence-promoting fragrant elephant bodhisattva and the Union sect were incompatible, then joyful bodhisattva, who enjoyed worldly pleasures, would be a nuisance. Dream Yu had hostile relations with the Buddhist sect's fragrant elephant bodhisattva and joyful bodhisattva. Joyful bodhisattva was an outlier in the Buddhist sect. She too sought enlightenment, but not in the next life, but in this life. She didn't prohibit worldly pleasures, but instead explored various forms of entertainment. She believed that sex was the greatest creative energy, and that through the union of men and women, human souls could merge with cosmic souls, reaching the highest spiritual realm. This view was different from most of the Buddhist sect. It was strange, but if traced back to its roots, the teachings of joyful meditation could be traced back to the immortal realm. In other words, joyful meditation could lead to Buddhist status. The Buddhist sect accepted even those who were not arhats, so one more joyful bodhisattva wouldn't matter. Pure Heart Holy Woman kept a wary eye on joyful bodhisattva as, to her knowledge, she also fancied Zhongli. "Zhongli would never fall for you." The teachings of joyful bodhisattva were quite similar to those of the Union sect, so she liked to recruit disciples near the Union sect, with extremely high efficiency. Had it not been for Dream Yu's interruption, she might have already acquired a disciple. Miss Dream, the Union sect has many similarities with joyful meditation. Why not merge the Union sect into the Buddhist sect? I believe that with your wisdom, you could become a bodhisattva in the Buddhist sect. Bugger off. Dream Yu, quite surprisingly, swore. Even think of merging the Union sect, dream on. Joyful Bodhisattva wasn't annoyed and withdrawn with a smile, returning to the Buddhist side. Fragrant Elephant Bodhisattva was still closing her eyes, cultivating the heavenly vision. She sensed Joyful Bodhisattva's return and said helplessly, Joyful, why must you stir up trouble with the Union sect? Isn't it good to live in peace? Actually, it wasn't the Buddhist sect who had chosen to lecture opposite the Union sect. When they rented the venue, no one had mentioned that it was right in front of the Union sect. Fragrant Elephant Bodhisattva had arrived a little late. When she arrived, the Union sect had already started their lecture, causing the Union sect to believe that she was targeting them. Joyful Bodhisattva said without emotion, the Union sect has been too arrogant lately, they need to be knocked down a peg. Fragrant Elephant Bodhisattva felt helpless as Joyful Bodhisattva was fearful of the Union sect's rapid expansion, worried that Dream Yu would lose her way in blind expansion, causing the Union sect to degenerate into a den of carnal desires. Hence, she intended to show her presence, warning Dream Yu to manage the Union sect properly, or else she would incorporate the Union sect into the Buddhist sect. Fragrant Elephant Bodhisattva felt Joyful Bodhisattva was overdoing it. With the imperial palace in existence, no matter how the Union sect developed, it would not degenerate into what Joyful Bodhisattva was worried about. Red Dust Fairy sat for a while at the lecture stage of the Buddhist sect, listening carefully to Fragrant Elephant Bodhisattva's discussion, then she jogged over to the Union sect's side to listen for a bit, before nodding lightly. So nice. Zhang Li was surprised. It made sense for the Union sect's side, as they spoke quite plainly, but the Buddhist sect seemed to be speaking in riddles. Could Red Dust Fairy really understand? Did you understand? Of course. Our Red Dust Holy Land has all sorts of books, I've read them all. What the Buddhist sect is teaching is simply rudimentary Buddhist law. Red Dust Fairy couldn't leave Red Dust Holy Land, so she'd sit on a peach tree and read books, leading a very leisurely life. She read all sorts of books and could understand all sorts of books. But when I said, so nice, I wasn't referring to how well they lectured. If I went up to speak, I would do even better. Zhang Li was confused, then what did you mean by, so nice? Under her veil, Red Dust Fairy revealed a joyous smile. Two forces with completely different viewpoints can express their opinions freely on this small piece of land without interfering with one another, and without using violence to force the other side to submit. Isn't that nice? Zhang Li suddenly realized that Red Dust Fairy was not naive at all. She saw through issues very clearly. The reason she always behaved like a child was probably because she had the heart of an innocent child. Upon realizing this, Zhang Li let out a secret sigh of relief. He had been secretly worried about what to do if Red Dust Fairy turned out to be a mature and calculating individual after she grew up. With her charm, the entire Kyushu would probably not be peaceful. The Union sect and the Buddhist sect continued to compete for recruits. But it was nothing more than verbal sparring, and they didn't really become enemies. They simply tried their best to attract female cultivators. Chapter 356. Clang, clang, clang. The bell rings resonate through Kunglai Fairy Island, as if reminding people that a certain time has arrived. Zhang Li notices that many female cultivators have bright eyes and seem eager to try something. What's going to happen? Zhang Li asks, surprised, turning to Yu Yin for an answer. Yu Yin doesn't respond directly. She glances at Zhang Li, finding the upcoming event interesting. You'll see in a moment. Zhang Li rarely sees this expression on Yu Yin, a mischievous grin. Every time he and Bai Hongtu secretly plan something and are discovered by the elderly emperor, Yu Yin always wears this expression. This implies that he and Bai Hongtu will be punished by the emperor. Yu Yin hooks up a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. Princess Pure Heart, it's fortunate that you came to the river festival, otherwise, you would miss this event. Pure Heart is confused by Yu Yin's words. I also want to participate. Red Dust Fairy's curiosity is piqued by Yu Yin's mysterious demeanor. Zhang Li reluctantly replies, Fairy, do you remember what I told you before leaving? Be low-key, low-key. Oh, recognizing that Zhang Li doesn't support her, Red Dust Fairy feels a little disappointed. Under Yu Yin's guidance, the three arrive at the event venue, and Zhang Li finally meets Island Lord Mo Ruyu. When Mo Ruyu first found Zhang Li in the sea, she was already a cultivator at the body integration realm. 500 years have passed, and Mo Ruiyu looks the same as Zhang Li remembers, unchanged. A cultivator's state of mind reflects their appearance. 500 years without change illustrates the strength of Mo Ruiyu's psychology. Zhang Li notices that Mo Ruiyu has Mount Heshan with her and curiously asks Yu Yin, why didn't I see her bring the Ruyi gourd? Yu Yin thinks for a moment, and says, the Ruyi gourd has a strange nature. I find its desires to be unusual, like it enjoys me stepping on it and such. This time it even wanted to participate in the river festival and seemed overly excited. I always think it's up to something, so, for security's sake, I didn't bring it. Zhang Li can relate, he too often struggles to understand the thoughts of the Ruyi gourd. On another note, it has been a long time since I visited the Sky Desolate Halberd. I need to set a day aside to do that. It's been left alone as the fulcrum of the array, it must be very lonely. Zhang Li feels guilty. He had promised to visit the Sky Desolate Halberd but keeps forgetting. Yu Yin is debating whether to tell Zhang Li about how the Sky Desolate Halberd has been having a great time with its group of friends. Welcome everyone to Penglai Fairy Island for the Decennial River Festival. Island Lord Mo is full of energy and lively as always. Despite the interdependence of yin and yang, that both men and women can cultivate, due to factors such as lesser numbers, unsuitable techniques, and the domineering nature of male cultivators, we female cultivators often find ourselves in a weak position. Organizing the river festival is also a hope that everyone can take this opportunity to network and be able to help each other when returning home. The audience applauds non-stop, agreeing with the island lord's words. Mo Ruiyu, possessing the aggressive Mount Heshan, ranks second only to Yu Yin in terms of combat power among the female cultivators of JoJo. Her words carry a great deal of credibility. I believe everyone has been looking forward to this event. Let me now introduce the theme of this event, getting to know the unknown Zhang Emperor. Zhang Li. The audience erupts in applause once again, even louder than before. Among the applause, many are cheering phrases such as, only marrying the Zhang Emperor, I adore Zhang Li, I want to be the Empress, and so on. Clearly, the name Zhang Emperor has stirred the emotions of the female cultivators. Even though they had probed for information about the event's content through their channels, being present when the event theme is unveiled leaves them with a whole new thrill. Pure Heart feels as if the whole world is against her. As expected, this so-called river festival is essentially a gathering of love rivals. Zhang Li is also surprised. Even if it's the 300th anniversary commemorative ceremony of his ascension to the throne, he hasn't seen such an enthusiastic group of cultivators. He fears that if he appears now, he might lose his clothes. See, I told you this event suits you. Yu Yin whispers into Princess Pure Heart's ear. For the sake of fairness, this event also invites the friend of the unknown Zhang Emperor, the Empress Yu Yin, as the judge. Island Lord Mo on the high platform looks towards Yu Yin. Yu Yin's prestige among female cultivators is extremely high, and the entire focus of the venue instantly shifts to her. Female cultivators hope to become like Pure Heart, but they have never thought about becoming like Yu Yin. Female cultivators, attitudes towards Yu Yin are admiration, respect, and awe. I didn't expect Princess Pure Heart to be here. It's a delightful surprise. Island Lord Mo flies down from the high platform. She didn't expect Pure Heart to participate in the river festival this time. Princess, do you want to be a judge or participate in the event? Princess Pure Heart hesitates a bit. Is there no cultivation limit for the event? I'm only at the body integration realm. She recalls that many events have strict cultivation level restrictions. For example, the previous spiritual treasure competition in Zhou restricted the cultivation level to below the nascent soul stage. Despite the mix of cultivators at the Transcendence Tribulation stage among the nascent soul stage cultivators. Princess, you don't have to worry about that. This event does not examine cultivation levels. Many cultivators at the body integration realm have registered. For example, White Snow Spirit, Joyous Bodhisattva, Dream Yu Yu. Zhang Li raises his eyebrows when he hears these names, wondering when they became playmates without him knowing. Alright, I'll participate. Upon hearing familiar names, Princess Pure Heart is filled with fighting spirit. She wants to show the world who truly understands Zhang Li best. And this young lady is. Island Lord Mo notices Red Dust Fairy. She's a senior member of the Pure Land of Red Dust who came with Pure Heart to participate in the river festival. She will sit next to me. The place next to Yu Yin is reserved for the judge. By rights, there shouldn't be anyone else there, but if Yu Yin insists on letting Red Dust Fairy sit next to her, no one else has the right to object. Zhang Li sneaks in behind Red Dust Fairy and finds a seat in the viewing platform. He sees White Snow Spirit, who is preparing for the event below. It's the GoldenEye White Snow Spirit. It appears that for a long time, it's been the GoldenEye White Snow Spirit out and about, living freely. Zhongli wonders why the two of them think alike, feel the same way, and insist on shirking responsibility from each other. Perhaps they enjoy the process. The reward for this event is a book written by an anonymous author titled, The Unknown Zhong Emperor. The book provides a detailed account of the various behaviors of Zhong Emperor in life. The writing is vivid, and it's a real page-turner. In addition, at the end of the book, there is also the author's 6,000 years of cultivation experience. The announcement of the prize incites exclamations from the female cultivators. The book in front is a collection item, while the cultivation experience at the back is a grand opportunity. Zhongli feels that he's been sold out by someone he knows. I heard that it's a book written by your human emperor's palace's leader Lu, Yu Yin says. Zhongli grits his teeth. Besides leader Lu, who else could live for 6,000 years? Was he free or what? Island Lord Mo said she could help leader Lu enter the Pure Land of Red Dust. In exchange, leader Lu provided the prize for this event. Yu Yin doesn't know why leader Lu wants to enter the Pure Land of Red Dust. She hasn't heard anything about him liking someone from the Pure Land of Red Dust either. Now let's start the Q&A session. Correct answers earn 1 point, while incorrect ones do not lose points. The first question. In the book, the arrogant Mahayana fell in love with me. How many times did Zhongli and the female lead spend the night together? Zhongli finds the first question to be beyond his knowledge. Yu Yin is confident, she's the author of this book. Chapter 357, What Zhongli Dislikes Eating. The novel, Overbearing Mahayana Love Me, was written by the Sacred Lady of Pure Heart. Specific details can be found in chapters 208 and 209. Writing, Yu Yin in the previous chapter was a typographical error. Judging by your expression, you don't seem to have heard of this book. This book is very popular in the market, each maid in my palace has a copy. Although the writing is mediocre, the admiration and affection the author has for you practically bursts out from the book. Yu Yin found Zhongli's surprised expression somewhat amusing. She suspected that the book was written by the Sacred Lady of Pure Heart but lacked evidence. I have seen this book in the Pure Land of Red Dust, but I don't know who the author is. Zhongli was speechless. He was told that the theme of the event was getting to know the human emperor, but couldn't answer the first question. The Sacred Lady of Pure Heart is exceptionally familiar with Overbearing Mahayana Love Me. This was the first book she wrote. After it was promoted in the Pure Land of Red Dust and well received, she secretly sold it outside, to a surprisingly good response. The Sacred Lady of Pure Heart was the first to raise her hand. 9 degrees of spring night. Yu Yin, who was sitting on the judging panel, slightly shook her head. Incorrect answer. GoldenEye White Snow Spirit raised her hand. 6 degrees of spring night. Your answer is correct, add 1 point. Yu Yin dismissed her suspicion of the Sacred Lady of Pure Heart. The Sacred Lady of Pure Heart was dumbfounded. How could this be? She clearly remembered that she and Zhongli had been through 9 degrees of spring night. Then the Sacred Lady of Pure Heart suddenly realized that she had imagined doing it 9 times, but when writing the book, restrained herself and only wrote about 6 times. Question 2. What was the first thing the human emperor said after surviving his 4th deification tribulation? The Sacred Lady of Pure Heart raised her hand once again. Why hasn't the deification staircase appeared yet? Incorrect answer. GoldenEye White Snow Spirit once again raised her hand. Damn it, why hasn't the deification staircase appeared yet? Correct answer. Congratulations to White Snow Spirit for gaining another point. Zhongli, why would you remember such a thing, and you even perfectly recalled the swear word? I can't even remember it myself. In recent years, Zhongli has been focusing on cultivating himself and rarely uses profanity. But if we roll back 200 to 300 years, he was also known to swear. Question 3. Emperor Gigi of Zhou once commented on the human emperor, saying, Zhongli is good in all aspects, but what is the second half of the statement? Just doesn't understand the way of time. Correct answer. Congratulations to White Snow Spirit for gaining another point. Zhongli, damn you Gigi. Where did you get these weird questions? Zhongli asked Yu Yin skeptically. Yu Yin casually sipped her tea. The tea was good, but it wasn't brewed to perfection and couldn't quite match what she brewed herself. She then leisurely asked, did you know that in the last 100 years, there has been an additional field of study the world has taken up? I wasn't aware. As I suspected, you wouldn't pay attention to such matters. All major colleges have an additional course called Zhongli Studies, which, as the name suggests, is the study of you. From your schedule, actions, diet, speech, etc., it analyzes you as a person. What was discovered from these studies? Yu Yin smirked. Nothing was discovered, it's all a ploy to embezzle spirit stone funding. Apart from that, they sell some useless information to women who admire you. In the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, I have already banned this subject. It's easy to earn spirit stones from women who admire you. I've tried to bring them back to their senses, but they won't listen. Compared to Yu Yin, Zhongli's appeal among women is stronger. I'll keep this in mind. Question 4. What is the food that the human emperor dislikes the most? As soon as these words came out, the mood instantly cooled down. None of the female cultivators participating in the event could answer, even the golden-eye white snow spirit who had answered the previous 3 questions correctly was no exception. If it was a question about what the human emperor liked to eat, the answer would undoubtedly be candied haws, but when it comes to what he didn't like to eat, that was indeed a mystery. Within the palace of the White Marsh Emperor dynasty, the real white snow spirit wasn't reviewing the memorials. Spread out in front of her were numerous books, both large and small. There were history books, romance novels, and collections of research papers. The common thread running through all these books was that they were all related to Zhongli. White Snow Spirit was rapidly browsing through these books using divine sense, trying to find a reference to what Zhongli disliked eating. Hurry up, where is it? Golden-eye White Snow Spirit urged the real White Snow Spirit. Both were synced in terms of perception and thought. What the real White Snow Spirit knew, Golden-eye White Snow Spirit also knew. This method had previously enabled her to win 3 times in a row. I can't find it. The real White Snow Spirit admitted defeat. There are indeed many books related to Zhongli, but not every aspect of Zhongli's life is recorded in detail. Zhongli doesn't like celery. The confident voice of the Sacred Lady of Pure Heart echoed. Correct answer. 1 point for the Sacred Lady. Golden-eye White Snow Spirit curiously asked, Sacred Lady, how did you know? The joyful Bodhisattva and Dream Yu were also awaiting the Sacred Lady's answer. The Sacred Lady of Pure Heart smiled sweetly, remembering fondly, when Zhongli first rescued me from the demonic cultivators, we spent 3 months together. Although I'm not refined in worldly matters, my culinary skills were decent, so I cooked for him. Whatever I cooked, he would eat. Until, one day, when I made stir-fried celery with cured meat. He only ate the cured meat, not a single bite of celery. In the spectator stands, the fairy of red dust patted Zhongli's shoulder, as if having found a kindred spirit. It's alright, I don't like celery either. Fairy Red Dust had started fasting, but she was quite idle in the pure land of red dust, so she had her disciples make some food. And that's how she ended up tasting the worst food in the world, celery. Zhongli, with an unpleasant expression, glared at Yu Yin. This question wouldn't have come from those people studying me. It would make sense to study what he enjoyed eating, as he ate them regularly. However, studying what he disliked was just too hard. Those majoring in Zhongli's studies wouldn't possibly know what food he disliked. Zhongli had only eaten celery a few times, and the number of people who knew that he disliked it were even fewer. Yet, Yu Yin happened to be one of those few people. Yu Yin replied expressionlessly. Master Mo enthusiastically asked, and I felt it would be rude to refuse, so I randomly came up with some. Empress, it's actually you who volunteered to do so. Master Mo appeared. She had realized early on that Yu Yin was talking to herself, and after some contemplation, figured out that the expert in concealment, the human emperor, must be nearby. Master Mo, you must be mistaken, it was you who invited me to make up the questions. Yes, that's right, it was me who invited you. Master Mo covered her mouth and chuckled, not wanting to bicker about the issue. Long time no see, human emperor. You're too kind, master, just call me Zhongli. The Mount Heshan stone shifted a bit, greeting Zhongli. It wasn't very familiar with Zhongli. The only close encounter it ever had was when it first gained consciousness, being pummeled by Zhongli and understanding the dangers of the path of immortality. Then, it was the time when it was captured by Zhongli using the system store feature and forced to stay obediently by Master Mo's side. However, its relationship with the Sky Desolate Halberd was quite good, often referring to each other as brothers with both wanting to be the older one. The Sky Desolate Halberd called it, Little Brother, and it called the Sky Desolate Halberd, Little Brother, in return. Chapter 358, New Special Task. The Mount Heshan stone's attacks are all-encompassing. Every single object under the sky can be hit, it can surely hit its target. The defense function of the Four Seas Dragon Ball may as well not exist to it. The 4 C's Dragon Ball has a strong defensive ability, but it can't block all attacks. The aspects the manhwa stone deals with, in terms of crafting methods, excel those of the 4 C's Dragon Ball. The Sky Desolate Halberd is indestructible. The certainty of the manhwa stone's attacks hitting their marks is no use against it. It's the natural nemesis of the stone, it's logical for the two to aspire to outdo one another. Logically, the 4 C's Dragon Ball should be able to counter the Sky Desolate Halberd. Once the Dragon Ball develops intelligence, attacks from those below the immortal level can't break its defense. None could break the Dragon Ball's defense with the Sky Desolate Halberd during the Transcendence Tribulation stage. But who would have thought that Zhongli is the owner of the Sky Desolate Halberd? When Zhongli wields the halberd, no amount of defense from the Dragon Ball will be of any use. Did you come here because you're interested in someone's daughter? Lord Mo's suspicions were not unfounded. Zhongli was a gentleman, and visiting a festival mostly attended by female cultivators would be out of character unless he had his eye on one of them. Only then could his action be explained. Zhongli shook his head. I'm just worried about Pure Heart. Zhongli's words weren't wrong. Since the Red Dust Fairy was coming, Saint Girl Pure Heart would definitely follow. Zhongli came to Penglai Fairy Island out of concern she wouldn't be able to handle the Red Dust Fairy. Lord Mo looked enlightened. She never imagined this day would come for Zhongli. Yu Yin noticed the look on Lord Mo's face and realized she'd misunderstood. Please don't talk about my visit here. Of course, we won't. You're not objecting to our activity themed around you, it's already very gracious of you. Why would we reveal your matters? Zhongli chuckled. This activity is quite good, it helps me better understand myself. The Q&A session gradually heated up, with all sorts of tricky questions popping up. Zhongli found he could only answer about 10% of them. Saint Girl Pure Heart, coming from behind, ranked first. The cheating GoldenEye White Snow Spirit got second place, Dream Yu came third, and Happy Buddha ranked fourth. Congratulations on your reward. Lord Mo presented the prizes. Could you say that again? Saint Girl Pure Heart asked. Lord Mo did not understand but did as asked. Congratulations on your reward. Saint Girl Pure Heart was grinning from ear to ear. Lord Mo's words sounded a lot like, congratulations, you got Zhongli. Saint Girl Pure Heart received the book, The Unknown Zhong Emperor, like a treasured prize. As for the cultivation insights of a 6,000-year Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivator, she just put them away, planning to look at it after she had read the other book. Those who ranked after the second place got participation prizes, which were the same water cups that Zhongli used. Zhongli himself couldn't remember using that water cup. He had been fasting for over 400 years, not needing to drink water. Even on the rare occasions when he indulged in food, there was no need to have a specific water cup ready. This water cup was probably from before his fasting period. I didn't think you knew the answers to all those questions. Zhongli also congratulated Saint Girl Pure Heart. Looking shy, Saint Girl Pure Heart didn't say anything but hid her blush behind her book. Did you enjoy the event, Fairy? Zhongli could sense Red Dust Fairy's joy even from behind the veil. Red Dust Fairy really was happy. While many envied the serene lifestyle of the Red Dust Sacred Land for female cultivators, she found the outside world more exciting. Although the Red Dust Sacred Land was wonderful, it lacked vibrancy and life was somewhat monotonous. As long as Fairy had fun, Zhongli escorted Red Dust Fairy and Saint Girl Pure Heart back to the Red Dust Sacred Land. Yu Yin returned to the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, kicked the wishful gourd out of the sleeping quarters, shut the door, took out the book she purchased from the bookstall and cherished the moment. GoldenEye White Snow Spirit returned to the White Marsh Emperor dynasty. Disgraceful, not able to find the answers. Disgraceful, can't even cheat to win. Don't claim to be me in the future. Don't claim to be me in the future. GoldenEye White Snow Spirit and the real White Snow Spirit blamed each other. Blaming me? There were some questions obviously generated by Yu Yin, like what Zhongli's sleeping posture is. Who would know that? He's not Zhong Konggu, he hasn't slept in hundreds of years. Probably only Yu Yin, Bai Hongtu, Gigi, and Saint Girl Pure Heart would know. Task announced. You see a cultivator bully others with his power, riding a horse carriage through the market, kidnapping a girl, collecting taxes for hundreds of years in advance, causing severe hardship for the people. A noodle stall at the side of the road is knocked over, nearly hitting an old man eating there. You step in to save the old man, getting into a conflict with the tyrannical cultivator. What you don't know is, this old man is actually the current human emperor, Lu Yu. Please gain the human emperor's approval. This task can be forfeited. Task reward. Unlock a special task. Zhang Li had an impression of the task description. According to the system, the tyrannical cultivator should be Yi Ming, the son of the city lord of Tianqing City from the martial emperor dynasty. Yi Ming, backed by his divinity transformation stage father, wreaked havoc in Tianqing City, regarding human lives as worthless. The system seems to want Zhang Li to deal with Yi Ming and gain Lu Yu's favor. However, what differs from the system's description is, he had already met Lu Yu before this. The noodle stall was an old brand with great taste. At the time, Zhang Li was eating noodles at the roadside. Coincidentally, Lu Yu was also there. Zhang Li even kindly shared some garlic with Lu Yu. When the city lord's son Yi Ming rode his horse carriage recklessly through the city, without Zhang Li needing to take action, Lu Yu directly tied both Yi Ming and his father up to deal with later. After some investigation, it turned out that both Yi Ming and his father were notorious. Enraged, Lu Yu killed both on the spot. In this incident, all Zhang Li did was serve tea and water to Lu Yu to calm him down. Lu Yu thought that Zhang Li was a good kid. This misunderstanding continued until Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu attended the Human Emperor candidate test together. At that time, Lu Yu was completely taken aback. Commander Lu thought the cultivation technique from Commander Huang had become strong enough to affect those in the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Unlock a special task. This was the third time Zhang Li saw a special task. The first special task was, Mystery of the Immortal Realm, which he failed because he didn't complete the prerequisite tasks. The second was, Looking for the pieces of the Immortal Ascendance Ladder, which he is still working on. He was curious about this third special task. Zhang Li took out a small mirror. You're so amazing. Earning the current human emperor's approval was simpler for Zhang Li than defeating a heavenly demon. Task complete. Unlocking special task. Path of the Human Emperor. This task can help the host rise against all odds, become the human emperor, who is respected by thousands. Zhang Li, what is my status? The current human emperor. What can the special task of the path of the human emperor do? Help the host become the human emperor. What is my status? The current human emperor. What can the special task of the path of the human emperor do? Help the host become the human emperor. My status. The current human emperor. Help the host become the human emperor. Zhang Li. It seems that there was a similar dialogue when he first got the system. Chapter 359, 9 Provinces Earth Veins. Zhang Li felt it was a madness in his mind to harbor any hope in the system. If you could rely on the system, then a pig could climb up a tree. If you named the system as dumb, then indeed it was very dumb. If you thought the system was smart, it would certainly fight you to claim that title. Being between dumb and smart, one might call it biphasic intelligence. The most peculiar thing was that it constantly insisted on being the reversal system, striving to help him reverse his fate. If one were to speak of the person with the highest status in the world of 9 provinces, it would undoubtedly be the human emperor. Going from the lowest level of a cultivator to the pinnacle of 9 provinces was indeed a reversal. The system issued a special task called Path of the Human Emperor, allowing him to become the human emperor. Zhang Li didn't doubt the authenticity of the system's task. According to the requirement of the system, he could indeed become the human emperor. It's just that it came too late and it's too dangerous. Zhang Li wouldn't be at ease unless he figured out the origin of the system. Everything about him was laid out clearly. He certainly didn't believe there was nothing wrong with the system. So far, other than the first emperor, he had not met a second person with the system. Zhang Li and the first emperor had only met briefly and had a fight, but Zhang Li was certain that the first emperor also had a system, and it was also 500 years late. Either he was special, or he had yet too little experience, and there were other system holders in other worlds as well. So where do I stand out? Is it the Mahayana realm? Or my outstanding combat power? Or being a transmigrator? Zhang Li had too many special aspects, and he was at a loss for a moment. From the tasks issued so far, the system seems harmless, but it's hard to tell in the future. Zhang Li recalled the series of comical tasks released by the system. But if these tasks were given 500 years ago, he wouldn't have been racking his brains over how to solve the problems and could have followed the system's prompts, with fairly good results. When do I start the special task of the Path of the Human Emperor? Please wait patiently, host. Zhang Li thought, it indeed wasn't the time yet. At this time 500 years ago, Emperor Lu wasn't selecting human emperor candidates. Saying that Emperor Lu was selecting human emperor candidates wasn't quite right. To be precise, Emperor Lu was asking the 9 provinces Earth Veins to select human emperor candidates. If Zhang Li wanted to resign from the position of human emperor, he also needed the 9 provinces Earth Veins to select a human emperor first. Come to think of it, it's been a long time since I last visited the 9 provinces Earth Veins. The 9 provinces Earth Veins were the core of the 9 provinces world, located directly beneath the Imperial Palace. The Commander Lu always stationed in the Imperial Palace, which was equivalent to holding down the 9 provinces Earth Veins. Greetings, Hall Master. The guards at the entrance of the Imperial Palace suppressed their excitement when they saw Zhang Li, and saluted him. Thank you for your hard work. Zhang Li nodded slightly and then found Commander Lu. Seeing Zhang Li, Commander Lu was very surprised and put away his remote communication talisman. Hall Master, I was just thinking of looking for you. Is there something wrong? Commander Lu rarely took the initiative to contact him, and each time he did, it was a big deal. For example, when Zhang Konggu and his wife Ma Zhou were imprisoned, or when there were 3 commander candidates, or the banquet for Ma Zhou's newborn's 1-month birthday. I want to ask for 2 days off and go out for a trip. Of course, I'll take over the duties of the Imperial Palace. Zhang Li agreed readily. Commander Lu had contributed a lot, and taking a few days off wouldn't affect anything. Moreover, both the commanders and the guards had regular vacation and annual leave. Commander Lu showed an even more surprised expression than before. He thought he had heard wrong. Commander Lu did not dwell on the matter and left the Imperial Palace. Zhang Li entered a secret chamber full of deadly formations. If one did not know the method, even a cultivator at the Transcendence Tribulation stage would fall here. Only the human emperor had the right to step into this secret chamber. Even the old veteran like Commander Lu was not allowed to come here. It was a rule. Zhang Li followed the predetermined steps to unlock the formation, walked through the long secret chamber, and arrived at a place filled with rich spiritual energy. The density of the spiritual energy here was even higher than that of a top-grade spirit stone. If one carelessly took a breath, it could easily inflate and burst a cultivator. Zhang Li held his breath, worried that he might incidentally suck in all this spiritual energy. Zhang Li's forehead had a mark that shone brighter the closer he got to the earth veins. This was the unique earth vein mark of the human emperor, representing the relationship between the human emperor and the earth veins. Zhang Li stood still. In front of him was a slow-flowing azure blue stream, which flowed slowly like a liquid, yet also like a solid. When a cultivator arrived here, they would find their heart serene and their state of mind greatly elevated. Old friend, it's been a while since we've seen each other. Zhang Li squatted down, making a scooping gesture, but the azure blue stream was like an illusion. His hand passed through without catching anything. This azure blue stream was the earth veins. It flowed slowly with no response to Zhang Li. The earth veins were non-living, and lacked consciousness, so naturally, they couldn't respond to Zhang Li. If someone were to cut the 9 provinces continent horizontally, they would find a stream flowing through the whole continent slowly, giving a sense of peace. The earth veins in front of Zhang Li were the core of the earth veins, extremely important to the 9 provinces. The earth veins collected the power of faith from all living beings in 9 provinces and offered it to the successive human emperors to use. While the successive human emperors chose to add the power of faith to themselves, Zhang Li stored the power of faith in his bronze cauldron. Thanks to you indeed, otherwise the previous human emperors would have had a hard time defeating the heavenly demons from outside the world. Zhang Li thanked the earth veins. The 9 provinces, having survived the violent attacks from the heavenly demons, owed greatly to the earth veins. Originally, the 9 provinces did not have such a thing as earth veins. Later on, the stairway to immortality disappeared, and the terrifying heavenly demons from outside the world descended. At that time, although there were dozens of cultivators at the Transcendence Tribulation stage in the 9 provinces, their hearts were not united and they each fought their own battles. When faced with the powerful onslaught of the heavenly demons, they suffered heavy losses. All beings hoped that someone would rise to defeat the heavenly demons from outside the world, so they offered all their power of faith to a certain person. This person was the first human emperor. He waged a bloody battle against the heavenly demons from outside the world and emerged victorious. The first human emperor found that the power of faith was unstable, which was not conducive to subsequent battles. He took advantage of the time when all beings were most united and established the 9 provinces earth veins. The 9 provinces earth veins could not only collect the faith of all beings and convert it into stable faith power but also control the spiritual mechanisms of 9 provinces and select candidates who met the criteria for human emperor. Beginning with the second human emperor, all subsequent human emperors had gone through the stage of being a candidate for human emperor and ultimately stood apart from others to become a human emperor, including Zhang Li. What exactly the earth veins were, even immortal Elder Chong couldn't give an answer. For defining the nature of the earth veins, according to his knowledge, there wasn't anything similar to earth veins in the immortal realm. Maybe the earth veins could be considered a special product of the 9 provinces. Zhang Li talked to the earth veins as if it was an old friend, telling it about some interesting events in recent years, the grandeur of 9 provinces, the fascinating aspects of other worlds, and the heavenly demons from outside the world's relentless ambition, trying to lead the world towards destruction. Rather than saying Zhang Li was talking to the earth veins, it was more like he was talking to the previous human emperors. The previous human emperors all liked talking to the earth veins. In their view, the earth veins were like a legacy, connecting the past human emperors with future ones. Being a human emperor is really not easy. Predecessors, you've all worked hard, and so have I. I just don't know what kind of person the future human emperor would be. I hope I won't exert too much pressure on him. After reflecting for a moment, Zhang Li got up and returned to the imperial palace. Chapter 360. Seated in the imperial palace. The news of Commander Lu's leave for 2 days soon spread amongst the guards. While it was unusual for Commander Lu to take a leave of absence, what was even more surprising was that Zhang Li was acting as the overseer of the imperial palace in his absence. So, the duty of the human emperor also includes overseeing the imperial palace. One of the seasoned guards suddenly recalled that the human emperor often acted as the overseer of the palace. Zhang Li strolled around the center of the palace with his hands behind his back, reminiscent of a retired official. He checked how much faith had gathered in the bronze cauldron, felt the chair at the center of the hall, and then settled down. What should I be doing when overseeing the imperial palace? Zhang Li realized this was his first time taking on this role. He felt oddly guilty, as if he was letting down Commander Lu. Just as Zhang Li was thinking about who he could ask for advice, a group of guards in uniform walked in, their faces beaming with smiles. "Greetings, Hall Master," the guards all shouted in unison. Despite there being only a few hundred guards of the human emperor, they had the presence of thousands. Moreover, Zhang Li noticed more and more guards appearing, even those who were supposed to be off duty that day. "Hurry, hurry, big news, everyone come to the imperial palace." "What's the big news? I plan to spend the day resting and having a good time with my wife and kids." "Quit yammering, your family isn't going anywhere. You can spend time with them any other day. The Hall Master is overseeing the imperial palace today, are you coming or not?" "Going, of course I am." The guard who received the news immediately placated his wife, dressed up, and hurried back to the imperial palace. This guard had been in service for hundreds of years and had only had a handful of opportunities to meet Zhang Li. It was rumored that disciples from the Dao sect had seen Zhang Li more than he had. "Everyone, don't be too surprised or panicked. Just think of me as if I were Commander Lu. Whatever Commander Lu did, I will do the same." Zhang Li could feel the stares of the guards on him, causing him to feel uneasy. The looks they were giving weren't much different from those of the women from the upper festival. The imperial palace maintained the order of the 9 states, ensuring competition among them but avoiding any destructive form of rivalry. One of the guards stepped forward. "Hall Master, there is a matter that needed Commander Lu's decision." "Say it." The Great Yang Dynasty and Wuyu Dynasty are planning a competition for cultivators and wish to have the contestants sign death waivers. They hope that the imperial palace would give permission. The Great Yang Dynasty and Wuyu Dynasty both believe that amidst life and death, great terror and great opportunities coexist. Training under the threat of life and death can elevate a cultivator's mental state and power level. These 2 dynasties often hosted such competitions. Many cultivators also follow this philosophy and enjoyed walking the edge of life and death. Those cultivators would travel from afar to the Great Yang Dynasty and Wuyu Dynasty to participate in the competition. Zhang Li himself had participated in these kinds of competitions many times and had gained much from them. "Let me take a look." Zhang Li took the report compiled by the guard and carefully reviewed it. The rewards from the competition were rich enough to attract those fearless cultivators, and the contest rules were more detailed than when Zhang Li had participated. "Yes, this is fine. However, signing the death waiver requires that a cultivator's mental state be tested. There must be audio and video evidence proving their voluntary participation. Also, they can't gamble on the life and death of the contestants." "As you command." Zhang Li knew that some cultivators, even though afraid of death, enjoyed watching other cultivators fight to the death. The casino saw a business opportunity in this and secretly controlled the outcome in the alleys of life and death. The contestants thought they were participating in a life and death trial, when their fate had been predetermined. Zhang Li had partaken in such rigged competitions before. Luckily, he was able to pull through due to his sudden breakthrough in the cultivation techniques he had practiced but not used before. Even so, he was still pursued by the casino for several days after the competition. One of the guards stepped back, and another came forward. Hall Master, the Qingqiu nation and the Great Witch Country are increasingly at odds, and war seems imminent. Not all the guards of the human emperor were stationed at the palace, they were dispersed throughout the countries to monitor any movements and prevent any large-scale wars. The war between the Great Wei dynasty and the Dream River dynasty due to the Red Dust Fairy was reported by one of the guards to Zhang Konggu. As Zhang Konggu realized that he was unable to handle the situation, he reported it to Zhang Li. Although the Qingqiu nation and the Great Witch Country are not dynasties, they are still large nations with a long history and many cultivators at the body integration realm. If war were to break out between these two nations, the death toll could reach tens of thousands. Qingqiu nation is the home of the white fox on Qin Luan's shoulder, while the Great Witch Country is Zhang Konggu's hometown. What is the reason for the war? There were people in the Qingqiu nation who were dissatisfied with the nine-tailed heavenly fox's rule and conspired with the Great Witch Country to ambush her, leading to her disappearance. Taking advantage of the monarch's disappearance, the Great Witch Country hopes to annex the Qingqiu nation. Calculations suggest that about 800,000 cultivators will die in the process of annexation, not considering additional deaths that might occur if the people of Qingqiu nation rebel and the Great Witch Country resorts to violent suppression. The Great Witch Country has proposed to the Imperial Palace that if they are allowed to annex the Qingqiu nation, they will triple their tribute to the Imperial Palace for the next 100 years. Triple? How generous! Zhang Li sneered. War demands a country's people and spirit stones. After a war, the ordinary people would suffer, and the treasury would be emptied. How could the Great Witch Country afford this increase? The only explanations were that it was planning to deplete its treasury or exploit its people. Is the ruler of the Great Witch Country still Zhang Konggu's brother? Yes, he's still as presumptuous as ever. The Great Witch Country is a nation of witches, and within it, there is also a hierarchy, with the royal family at the very top. Zhang Konggu was the son of the previous ruler of the Great Witch Country, and he had the blood of the royal witch family running through his veins. However, the royals looked down upon Zhang Konggu, deeming him as unsuitable for cultivating. After the death of the previous ruler of the Great Witch Country, Zhang Konggu had just come of age. He didn't have the power to compete for the throne and lacked the intellect. Zhang Konggu's brother ascended the throne and saw his simple-minded younger brother as an irritation, so he banished him from the Great Witch Country and made him fend for himself. After being expelled from the Great Witch Country, Zhang Konggu met Commander Liu. Commander Liu saw potential in him and decided to mentor him. Zhang Konggu didn't disappoint, rising from the ranks of the guards to become a commander. After hearing this news, the ruler of the Great Witch Country changed his attitude towards Zhang Konggu drastically, treating him warmly and even bestowed upon him the title of prince. Even if Zhang Konggu was slow, he knew who truly cared for him and who was insincere. He never responded to the ruler of the Great Witch Country. Zhang Konggu's so-called annual visits home were merely to visit his mother's grave in the Great Witch Country. Despite Zhang Konggu's cold attitude towards the ruler of the Great Witch Country, the ruler always believed that blood was thicker than water and assumed that the Imperial Palace would turn a blind eye to their actions out of consideration for Zhang Konggu. For example, this time, the annexation of the Qingqiu nation. If it were Commander Liu, he would tactfully express that Zhang Konggu was a commander of the Imperial Palace, not a prince of the Great Witch Country. Unlike Commander Liu, Zhang Li didn't give the ruler of the Great Witch Country face. Tell the ruler of the Great Witch Country, if they dare to start a war, I will intervene directly. As you command. Zhang Li thought of Qin Luan. If one day Qin Luan learned of the identity of the little white fox on his shoulder and wanted to help her reclaim her throne, it would be something that the Great Witch Country would not want to see. Conflict between Qin Luan and the Great Witch Country was inevitable.